did double day 2 today, so I'm going to be playing 2 1Ks tonight. I'm slightly short in both, or like medium-sized stack, but there's 20 and 30 people left or so. So it's kind of nice to have 2 irons in the fire, to be honest.
Yeah, and a really tough field in one of those 1Ks. Loads of heroes still alive, but Lex, you are the hero we need and deserve. We look forward to updates on your progress. Of course, anyone wanting to watch those events will be watching your channel this evening. Good luck. We're all counting on you.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much.
So Lex is streaming those 1Ks. We're focusing on the 5K High Roller Club Special Edition. 257 entries. 8 players remain, and headlining this final table is Joni Jokamainen Bustoville with an 84 big blind stack. Pablo Brito, second in chips. Christoph Vogelsang back for more. The obligatory final table appearance for Simon C. Darwin 2 Matson. No really short stacks. Trikus 888, the shortest stack with 19 bigs. And now we are down to 8. Now we're at the final table. There is some serious money up for grabs, all guaranteed at least 37K. 6-figure scores for the top 4, with the winner claiming almost $250,000. And we are joined once again by Maria Ho. Good to have you with us, Maria.
Hello, guys. How's it going today?
We are fired up for a final table which has 8 scoop titles between the 8 players at this table, 3 of them belonging to the bearded face of C. Darwin 2, Simon Matson. Many players, therefore, gunning for their 2nd or 3rd scoop win tonight. We have got one player who qualified for this event. We have actually got a satellite winner in the field, a New Hope 13. Not sure if that's a Star Wars reference. This Russian player is in via a $530 satellite.
What a fitting name for a satellite winner.
So very first hand, blinds 35, 70,000. We get the under the gun raise from Joni Jokamainen with ace king, flattered by Trikus with ace 3 suited. And now,
look how
Lucky Fish 89.
Look how strong that flat looks.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I kind of
look how strong that folds with ace jack.
That's what I was going to say. When it comes around to the big blind, there's a certain amount of assumption on my part. I think ace jack's going to come along for the ride, but no, we see the fold from John Clark.
We saw 2 pairs folded as well. I think it just looks, when you see the under the gun raise and then the next spot flatting, you're just like, okay, these are probably 2 monster hands.
Yeah, and I do think that that's why, in this case, Bustoville, Johnny just decides to check it over because, again, like you mentioned, it looks strong to flat the under the gun opener, even though it's opened from the chip leader. And also that's not really the type of board that is going to play well against that strong flatting range for ace king.
We have some, let's say, interesting creatures on people's avatars. Tino Mulder. We are familiar with the horse. We have the cute animals on Christoph Vogelsang's avatar. Not sure what's going on with the New Hope. And Trikus, I don't think I like it. I'm not a fan.
It's definitely a cat, though, James, so I'm not really sure if you want to walk that back at all.
Are you sure? I mean, it's a beast of some kind. I'm not sure it's feline in origin.
I'm going lynx. Ocelot, maybe. It's definitely in the big cat family.
I don't think that's a lynx.
Well, I would ask the chat pros, but unfortunately, it's Monday.
Betting the flop with top pair. 2nd pair for Joni Jokamainen. And does not improve on the turn.
When you defend the big line with these weakens and you flop middle pair, you're really just in check call mode for the flop and then deciding on turns. A lot of it is going to depend on bet sizing on future streets from Pablo, but decides to check that turn.
I agree with John Delano, by the way. and I don't want to get too hung up on Dreykus' avatar, but it does look like CGI from days of yore. It doesn't look like a real animal. Action checked to Pabritz on the river, just over $500,000 in the middle. In this battle of the two biggest stacks at this final table. And Pabritz going for value, 4-3-3 into 5-7-7.
Yeah, just really going after these middle pair hands that might look him up considering the turn was checked back. But most of the time, those lines are not very bluff heavy in my experience. The old, bet, check, bet.
Yeah.
But does get paid off.
And takes the slight chip lead over Joni Jokamainen. Pabritz and Bustoville pretty much tied at the top. And Christoph Vogelsang opening here with pocket sixes. And round to Lucky Fish 89, who we established is John Clark from the UK.
John Clark, why does that sound familiar?
Well, John Clark is one of our former Scoop champions, won a No Limit Hold'em PKO event back in 2018. You might remember him, Joe, because we actually covered an event that he final tabled, the EPT Malta in 2016. He made the final table of the 2K IPT High Roller, where he lost heads up to Stefan Jedlicka.
I definitely remember that. It came down to like a big call on the river, right? The last hand?
That's right. John Clark got it in with a straight draw. Top pair, top kicker was the hand for Jedlicka. He called, it held. And no, I believe actually, yeah, did he call with the straight draw or shove with the straight draw?
I think he had a pair and a straight draw that he called it off with.
Right.
And
so Jedlicka made the all-in move.
Yeah. And then I think the river paired the board as 6, if I'm not mistaken. And John missed. Game over.
Absolutely. It's amazing.
Because straight draws never come in.
That's right, because you always get a pair when you're on a straight draw.
Oh, that's why you remember it. Oh. Well, this is an interesting situation. The shortest stack at the table, flopping top pair, but Simon Matson, C. Darwin, with the nut flush draw.
Yeah, and in this spot, when you get a caller from the small blind, you do recognize that it is going to hit a lot of their flatting range, but you've got the ace high flush. You do have to usually follow it up with that continue.
Yeah, and this is a check raise, which is very committing. There is the shove from Simon Matson. Dreykus calls all in, and it's a heart on the river. It's the Queen of Hearts. Actually giving Dreykus trips, but giving C. Darwin the flush, and that will see Dreykus out in 8th place, cashing for $37,000.
C. Darwin just doing what C. Darwin does, make final tables, knock people out, make flushes, easy.
And now we have Ace-9 versus Ace-Queen, and New Hope opened under the gun. Christoph Vogelsang flatting, and it's domination rotation as the big blind pairs his 9.
So gross. So gross. Ace, Queen of Hearts here. This board just like connects with so many big blind hands.
I know, and it's tough because I'm rooting for the satellite qualifier, but I'm always rooting for Christoph as well. Just such a nice guy. So,
well, you don't have to root for him here. He's just going to win. You can root for the other guy. He doesn't need the help.
You can root for the other guy to hit his ace on the oh, wait.
No, yeah, just not. There's... I mean, in a way, this is really nice of Christoph to just give him a chance to fold here and not fire later.
Thank you for check raising me on the flop so that I can lose the minimum and move on to the next hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. definitely wants, hands with 2 over card type equity to fold out. He's in a lot better shape against ace queen, obviously. But, if the guy had king queen or king jack, then it's nice to be able to check raise in that spot with top pair.
So when you check raise top pair there, are you just sort of discounting the fact that you think the under the gun opener isn't going to have like 10s through aces ever? Like, I know you're blocking aces and queens a little bit, but what if they have jacks there and they ship on you? Do you just fold that raise on the flop with ace 9?
Yeah, I think you're not discounting the fact that they also can have overpairs in their range from opening under the gun, but a lot of their range also does consist of those 2 high card type hands, which if you can get them to fold their overcard equity on the flop, then that's a really nice pot for you to take down. And again, yes, you can play pretty honestly, because if somebody does 3-bet shove, they probably do have an overpair. And if they call, you can always check the turn and proceed from there.
Well, A New Hope defended the big blind. They have paired their 7, but Jokemainen still way ahead with 9s.
I definitely would block A New Hope's avatar, though, if I was at this table. That one would go for sure.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of avatars, I am so familiar with that Tino Mulder horse that if I saw the horse in real life, I would call it Tino. I'd be like, I know you. I would recognize that horse.
Yeah. I mean, I'm amazed that this is week 2 of Scoop, and this is only the first time we're seeing Tu and Mulder at the final table. What took you so long?
I mean, maybe he just started playing.
I mean,
Easiest explanation.
This guy had such an amazing 2020. Won his first Scoop title last year. Came 3rd in the WCOOP main event last year for over $1.1 million.
Yeah, he seems like a full Scoop schedule kind of guy to me. So
yeah, yeah.
We also don't know. He may have made other final tables that we just weren't covering.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. We can only shine a spotlight on so many events. There are, 306 tournaments on Scoop, if you count the low, medium, and highs.
So we're covering less than 10% of them?
Yeah. I actually had to do the math there, which is really, really disturbing.
I mean, I guess if you count the ones we jump into on the breaks, it might be around 10% of them, but...
Yeah. I mean, look, our main focus is on the high buy-ins, and our main focus is on the high roller events. And talking of high rollers, let's not forget that this week we have the biggest buy-in event on the schedule. It's the 25K Super High Roller starting tomorrow, and we'll cover the final day of that one on Wednesday.
That's so sick.
So, 3-bet from Simon Matson with Ace Jack. Action back on the original Razor.
that seems like
Oh,
I was going to say,
baby.
yeah, seems like it would have been hard to just call with the King 5 of Hearts, but to 4-bet is a whole different story.
So Pablo Brito still tied for the chip lead with Joni Jokemainen, 6 million apiece. And Brito back in action, opening with King 10.
I mean, King 10. So it's better than King 5.
Yeah, clearly able to put a lot of pressure on C. Darwin in that spot, obviously, because of the ICM considerations and Tino being somewhat short. Taking a chance that maybe they're just 3-betting you with a hand that they can't quite call a 4-bet with.
Well, a set of
Always.
sixes.
Always.
For
We've
John
got a set of
Clark.
sixes here for Lucky Fish on this monotone board. So far, It's very frustrating sometimes, don't you think, to flop a set on such a wet, draw-heavy board?
There's a straighty, flushy board, and now it's top pair on the turn for the pre-flop aggressor.
Well, this is very, very exciting news for the set of sixes.
Yeah, Pabritz probably feels comfortable in betting this turn just because you do want to charge some of those single club type hands. Don't want to give them a free card. And you can pretty easily fold if you get check raised because you don't have any clubs in your hand. But in this situation, I don't see Lucky Fish necessarily raising just because of the texture, but they also could to clear out Bustoville here.
And Pabritz was drawing dead on the turn, and we'll just check back this river. And that's a pot of nearly $1 million going to Lucky Fish. He's now playing 4.3 million, third on the leaderboard. And we have a raise from Tuan Mulder with ace-6 of hearts. So let's just do our check on the countries. We know that Mulder plays from the Netherlands. A New Hope we established is a satellite qualifier from Russia. Simon Mattsson, C. Darwin 2, is Swedish. Christoph Vogelsang is playing from the United Kingdom, so is actually represented by a Union Jack on stars. John Clark, Lucky Fish 89, is British. Pabritz has the Brazilian flag as an avatar, looking to win another title for Brazil. And last but by no means least, we have Joni Jokamainen, who is from Finland and is probably best known as being one of the Finns in hats from EPT Barcelona in 2012. Third place finisher in the main event that year.
How do they know? How does Pabritz know that Tino's opening ace-6 there and not like ace-queen or ace-king? Like it's baffling to me. It's just never like, oops.
Yeah. Instincts. Poker instincts.
I guess.
Another battle of the big stacks. And Jokamainen near enough a 9-1 favorite.
Yeah, both players seeming to just exercise pot control here, even though they both have a piece of the board. In this scenario, after it's checked again, though, we might see a bet out of Joni.
$140,000 into 432,000.
This river probably just going to kill the action. Both players effectively have bluff catchers and not necessarily anything to bet for value.
Well, now we are at the final table. The blinds are extended 30-minute levels as we go to the 40-80 blind level. And blind v blind, C. Darwin with Jack 4. Christoph Vogelsang with 10-6.
Too good.
Pablo Brito opening with ace-6. King-queen suited for Simon Mattsson.
Yeah, and without the ICM consideration, suited is a type of hand that you would see players 3-bet against such a late position open. But of course, you want to be able to realize your equity with such a pretty hand like King-Queen suited. And we all know what happened last time. C. Darwin 3-bet Pabritz as well. So that's going to play on your mind a bit.
We have top pair versus second pair, and no reason why C. Darwin won't call one bet and see what happens on the turn. Interesting. Pablo Brito now checks the turn. We can see that Pabritz is a huge favorite with one card to come. Jack of diamonds on the river. Joe, you know what we have here, don't you?
Yeah.
We have a straighty, flushy, paired board. We have a check-check situation. What's the matter? What's the big sigh?
I know, I expected... I just, you know, when you've got a board that sexy, you want some big bet action to go with it.
Yeah, we'll have a word with the dealer, I guess.
I like big bets, and I cannot lie.
It's too early for cranking. Just got to deal with it.
That's true.
Now.
That's true. Only 20 minutes into play. We do have our first raise with Artisanal Sourdough. Joni Jokamainen and Bustoville opens with ace-5 suited. Everyone else folds. And we have an ace-queen, ace-king situation here. All right, I'll allow it.
Tino Mulder. Super short, though. Or short-assed, I should say.
Yeah, 40, 80 blinds.
Yeah, I think for a New Hope, though, given their stack size, I mean, yeah, just shoving right over that open seems like the plus chip EV thing to do, but also being aware of the consideration of Tino being short. You don't really want to mess about and go 3-betting and perhaps having to have a spot where you're playing post all of a sudden.
Also, you know, I don't know a ton about a New Hope's game, but given that they are new on the scene, right, satellited in, I think the shove makes a lot of sense, too, from that perspective. And, you know, C. Darwin is one of the best players in the world. Why not just, you know, take the post-flop outplay possibility out of it?
Some interesting stats on a New Hope, Joe. Online winnings of around $130,000 with cashes going back to 2013. Mentioned that they satellited into this, have actually been on a roll recently when it comes to satellites. Satellited their way into the 2019 WCOOP main event, satellited their way into this event, satellited their way into the EPT Sochi main event as well.
Well, this is
could be a bit of a satellite specialist.
Oh, there we go.
Everything's right in the world, Joe. There definitely is so much value with a lot of these satties, especially with a certain number of seats guaranteed. And there are players that actually pretty steadily grind the satellites, especially during these big series, of course.
Yeah.
Couldn't even get the little bet paid.
Well, this likely to be folded to John Clark, unless Tim Mulder decides to get spicy with 4-3 suited. Not with that stack. So Clark opens to 176k with King Queen. Jack 8 suited for Joni Jokamainen on the button.
Yeah, it's kind of a nice hand as the chip leader on the button. You'll definitely find a way to continue with these type of 3-bets. I think if it was a little more connected, obviously maybe even Jack 9 suited or Jack 10, then maybe a flat would also be a part of the line that he'll take. But I think Jack 8 is just kind of weak enough where if the 3-bet gets through, it'll be great. If the person calls, it has playability post.
Or King Queen does not call, and Jokamainen back out in front, 6.5 million. Chip leader with 7 players remaining in this event. A reminder that this event had a field of 257, 163 unique players, 94 re-entries, a $1 million guarantee, actual prize pool of 1,285,000. And Jack 8 suited again. And Jokamainen opening. Pablo Brito with pocket 7s, flats. And a Jack high flop. And again, Maria, another pot where we see the 2 big stacks of the table potentially tangle.
Yeah, and this is definitely going to get to at least a turn. 7 still looking pretty good. Probably will just mix between checking back sometimes and betting for some protection.
And Brits makes it 160,000, gets the call. Jokamainen
feels so bad checking back 7s again here. Go ahead. Yeah.
I think they recognize, though, that obviously there are going to be some, ace, queen, ace, king type hands that would check call this type of board, but also hands like 8s and 9s that actually are beating your 7s that would check call this type of board as well. So I don't think that Pabritz sees much value in betting the 7s on the turn.
Bloop, bloop.
If this goes,
everything's beating us now.
854K will be shipped in the direction of Bustoville, who moves over the 7 million mark. Quick check on event number 31. We referenced at the top of the show that Lex has made day 2 of not 1 but 2 $1,000 buy-in events. One of them doesn't restart for a couple of hours, but SCOOP-31 High did restart. And Lex is still alive in the top 12 right now. I referenced that there is a tough field in this one, Joe. We see a New Hope move all in, but get no action. Lena 900, Graph Teckle, Sawatts. These are the kind of players that Lex is up against in the final 13. So actually, when I say Lex is in the top 12, he actually is the second shortest stack right now with just 13 players remaining in that one.
I mean, look, there's a little bit of freedom that comes with that. There's a little bit of just knowing you just have to wait for the right spot to get it in. Not a lot of waiting around to do. I think it's a little bit easier to navigate than, like a 30 big blind stack,
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's more mistake-free poker for someone with the experience that Lex has at that stack size. You don't really have to be worried too much. Your decisions are fairly automated.
Vandal Gaming asks, why isn't he streaming? Joe, what's the #1 rule of being a know-it-all?
So there's the #1 rule, but it's actually rule 1 of 1. It's very simple. It's be right. So,
Well, what a great spot
for Tino here, yeah.
All in. And this is that horrible situation where Vogelsang is like, oh, am I priced in? Do I have to call here?
2.5x.
Yeah, it's so gross, because if you were just the opener, then you have plenty of, fold equity. But in this, when you 3-bet, if you think your ace is live, you're pretty much, going to call if it doesn't affect your stack size a lot and doesn't put you maybe in a precarious position. But maybe C Darwin opened with an ace as well. So maybe instead of 3 outs, you have 2, and then the math may not quite be there. You know, Tino's got to be so incredibly strong, obviously.
Christoph Vogelsang, give it a think, huh?
Well, lays down the ace-4, and Mulder chips up to nearly 2 million. Our satellite winner, a new hope. I mean, I say satellite winner. This guy played a high roller to win a seat in a high roller, right? $530 buy, and we class that as high roller level. The raise is flattered by Joni Jokemainen, who's got presto. And King 9 for Pabritz, who flops the diamond draw.
You can always tell there's like a lack of post-flop action when we start getting excited about the prestos in the computer hands.
I never stop being excited about presto, computer hands, sailboats. Let's not forget the calculator hand and the abacus, Joe.
Why is 5-5 presto?
Because it's the speed limit, or was the speed limit in so much of the United States, 55 miles an hour.
Wait, what? That's not an explanation of presto.
I was going to say, is that an explanation, or am I still missing?
It's an explanation of why it's called the speed limit hand sometimes, or the Sammy Hagar.
Yeah, I've heard speed limit.
I don't think it covers presto.
We have got a straight draw for Jokemainen, which is no good, by the way, because Pabritz has turned the flush.
Yeah, and knowing that Pabritz did defend from the big blind, surely they could have all of the flushes here, because all of the suited combos are pretty much going to call and defend from the big blind, especially off of a big stack. So that straight draw without a diamond backup can't be looking too good. Pabritz also has a lot of the 3Xs in their range, defending all of the suited 3Xs, of course, the ace-3 offsuit, maybe, you know, not necessarily king-3 off or 3 off and the like, but certainly enough flushes, as I mentioned, enough 3Xs where this would be a very, very good fold.
Wow. Sorry, I noticed in part of your rationale that you didn't say you could call there and try to make a full house. Is that not? You can't just, you know, just be like.
I mean, you could, but you're facing a pretty big bet. It was almost pot-sized bet there, and you probably assume that if the board pairs, you're not going to get too much action.
So we've got Lucky Fish opening with the Grafton, 10-9 suited. Joni Jokemainen flatting with ace-7 of clubs, and now Simon Matson, C. Darwin 2, all in with kings. And everyone folds.
Thanks for joining us on Mermaid Monday, Maria.
Is that like my play off of your Moray Mondays?
Yeah, I kind of feel that you have stolen and rebranded Moray Monday, and I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Moray Monday's been dormant. I can't be mad about it. I wrote a really good Moray Monday a couple weeks ago.
You never committed to it, Joe.
I forget. I mean, I did back in the day, but the problem is that my Mondays are busy.
Okay, let's see if there's another day that works.
I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and the first thing on my mind isn't like, okay, like let me figure out a pun for today's Moray Monday. Like I got poker to cover.
Joe,
but what if you prepared and did it?
Exactly.
Yes,
exactly. It's all about When you have the joke, save it in drafts, post it on a Monday with the Moray eel, hashtag Moray Monday.
Nobody's going to know that you didn't come up with it on Monday, Joe. You're just posting it on Monday.
I don't think you guys understand how difficult it is to write even one joke a week.
You know, we have our infamous Poker Movie Mondays on a Wednesday released on a Thursday. So Moray Monday does not have to be tied down to one day of the week. By the way, let's see if Christoph Vogelsang got the memo. He did. He knows to re-raise with the Grafton.
Wow. And Pabritz
I'm not
puts
really
in another bet here.
I think a flat is in order with Pabritz's exact type of hand, even though you know you could put a lot of pressure on Christoph's stack. You also know that Jack 10 suited plays so well post.
I hear that, but I've yet to experience it.
Okay, well, this flop clearly isn't an indication of how well it plays post. But to be fair, your 10's a little blocked up here by Christoph. Christoph with just a tiny, tiny bet here.
This is great. I love having a flush draw on this board.
Yeah, kind of a strange stack to pot ratio for Christoph. You know, it's not quite enough necessarily to maybe go 3 streets, but you're kind of left with over pot size bet here on the turn, and really just hoping that they could get Pabritz to fold
you're up against
whatever
Jack
type
10?
of equity. Yeah, that Pabritz could fold whatever equity they have, because you are representing a pretty strong range as Christoph, willing to take that 3-bet spot pre against a big stack.
Vogelsang up to nearly 3.5 million. Tino Mulder still the shortest stack with 1.8 million. And this is a raise from Joni Jokamainen, the chip leader, with Jack 7 suited. Pocket 10s for Simon Matson.
Yanni's just really getting happy with his suited 3-gappers.
I like it. Remember, Jack 7, this is the calculator. Not quite as good as a computer, but better than 10-7, which is an abacus.
I would ask you for the explanation for that one, James, but if it's going to go as poorly as the Presto hand, I'm just not going to.
No. I can. This one's simple. So Queen 7 is the computer hand, right? Because apparently some computer algorithm discovered that it is the most common hand dealt, or it's the kind of the ultimate average hand to have.
It's the average hand, yeah.
Right. So Jack 7 that's not quite as good as Queen 7, and a calculator isn't quite as good as a computer. 10-7. It's not as good as Jack 7, so it's not as good as a calculator. It's an abacus. So it's basically instruments moving down the sliding scale.
Right.
And 10-6 is known as Stapes' brain.
How do you feel about adding a couple of levels in between those? So maybe after Queen 7, when we say Jack 7, we go graphing calculator. And then 10-7 could be regular calculator. And then 9-7 could be abacus. I don't know. We just want to keep a few.
I don't even know what a graphing calculator is.
Like a TI-83, like those Texas Instruments that you used in algebra.
I think James is slightly... I don't know if they did it in the UK. I think he's slightly older than us. They used to make you, James, when you got to like a certain level of math in high school, you had to buy like a $100 calculator.
Oh, we call them a scientific calculator.
Yes. Scientific graphing, they're both, I'm referring to
I hadn't heard the expression.
As opposed to our non-scientific calculators that are the rest of them.
When you say
Scientists
Texas Instruments,
using a solar-powered Casio.
There's only one Texas instrument to me, and that's the speak and spell. Well,
I think
always an ace on the desk. That's the story of this hand, right?
Yeah, and for A New Hope, I think that They really do want to try to go for value here, but might be a little bit afraid of, you know, the worst case scenario, which is what if I go for value and I get check raised here and Tino's kind of short and all of that. But I'm glad to see they're able to still put it in for about half pot.
The Speak and Spell only for old people. They still sell them on eBay.
To old people.
Who ironically now need them again later in life.
Right. Did anyone ever make a horror movie out of the Speak and Spell, like as like a way for a demon or some sort of evil spirit to communicate? I feel like that would be terrifying. I mean, it sounded like that to begin with.
Yeah. As synthesized human voices have evolved over the years, you go back to the Speak and Spell and it is pretty cold, pretty Skynet.
Wasn't there a Speak and Spell involved in like E.T.'s phone home device?
Oh, maybe. Pretty sure there was a Speak and Spell in the Toy Story movies.
Fabritz with 2 overs and backdoor flush and straight outs definitely can consider putting in a bet in this situation.
I would like to see a Speak and Spell in guest comms at some point. James Hardigan, Joe Stapleton, and Speak and Spell. Overpair. Fold.
Original Speak and Spell, retro classic, 80s design, damaged box, £38.95 on eBay.
Texas Instrument and damaged box sounds like a good. Never mind. Put Brits here with ace queen suited.
Oh.
And Tino gonna get the rest in.
Yeah. And this is a situation where I don't think Pablo Brito will be able to fold based on the odds being offered.
Yeah, and ace queen suited is just such a good hand. You obviously know that Tino could have you crushed here.
And Tino does him crushed. Oh, a little bit of a sweat with the diamond on the turn. But that is a full double up for Tuan Mulder from the Netherlands, now playing a stack of 3.6 million, meaning Simon Matson is now the shortest stack, but by no means short with 2.3 mil. Blind still 40-80 for another 5 minutes.
Yeah, that ace king, ace queen scenario is just one where you would expect hands that you're flipping against to maybe just open shove, you know, maybe 10s and 9s might just open shove 20 bigs. But when somebody's willing to open and then 4-bet shove, then, you know, maybe it's looking like ace king or more domination than that.
Well, thank you to the stats team for providing some important information, not on the players at this table or anything that's going on in any other events taking place in Scoop this evening, but on the Texas Instruments Speak and Spell. It did, as you said, Joe, play a prominent role as a key component in E.T.'s communications device. It was also in Toy Story and Toy Story 2. It was used in Bride of Chucky, where the possessed doll plays with one, and in Poltergeist 3.
We brought it back to poker with Jennifer Tilly and Bride of Chucky.
Some of my favorite posts from Jennifer Tilly on Instagram is when she's posting photos with the Chucky doll, like doing various things like sipping tea, maybe
just like hanging
poker,
out with her.
Perhaps. Yeah.
Hello, 5-4.
Oh.
Yeah, Christoph going to go for value for sure after the hand got checked on the turn. Most obvious draw from the flop missed, you know, the jack tens, maybe the king jacks, the gut shot straights as well. So
This is
going
really
for a
messed
bit
up
of
to
a
do to a
bigger
satellite
sizing.
winner. Just rude.
Oh, hating life right now. Makes the call, and Vogelsang chips up to 4.3 million.
Horseshoe him. Box of tissues. Rocket, that's what it's there for. Come on.
Excrement. Bastoville opening with King 9.
Christoph would be too dignified to throw anything back. Like every time I like see Christoph or I'm around Christoph, I feel like I have to act very proper. I like never curse in front of Christoph ever.
Do you curse in general?
I occasionally, Joe, once in a blue moon. You have to really
it's
get
very
me fired
rare.
up, though.
Fired up. We've got second pair versus a gut shot.
What I like most about Christoph is he's always smiling. Like always, just a big old mouthful of teeth coming from that guy.
One assumes that he's always smiling. Bear in mind that when he's in a hand of poker, he does disappear inside whatever item of clothing he's wearing on his torso.
Probably to hide the smile, yeah, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
He's probably just thinking about how rich he is, right? Just smiling all the time.
But for somebody that's that tall, do you know that Christoph doesn't fly business class or first class, even on long international flights? And he is very tall and very rich, but that's just not something he spends his money on.
That's, it's not important to some people. I like that. I definitely have thought to myself, like, once I have enough money, I'm going to start flying first or business class. And then I looked at it and I was like, no, I don't think so, actually. I technically can afford this if I want for, like, you know, the year. But, like, I could just, like, buy, you know, like, a car instead. So I'm just not going to do this. Like, it is a huge waste of money.
No, and I agree, but like you would think for like a 12 or 14-hour flight from Europe, if Christoph is coming to play, you know, a big buy-in, like the one drop, he's 6'2" or whatever, maybe he might want to splurge just for the comfort.
Think like London to Los Angeles, for example, I do think it's worth it, especially the flight home, the red eye, like, you know, when you're arriving first thing in the morning. See Darwin folding to the re-raise from Bastoville as we go to the 5,100 blind level.
Now's when the real poker starts.
Two relative short stacks here. See Darwin with 18 bigs, 19 big blinds for a New Hope 13.
How about one more hand here? A New Hope. This isn't the one.
Yeah,
you don't expect, obviously, for the blinds to wake up with hands that can 3-bet you, because a lot of the time you're like Jack-9 suited on the button. Definitely going to see a flop with this one. How
do you feel about even just raising slightly more than this, so that you don't necessarily... I mean, you're going to be getting called with tons and tons of hands in the big blind. Now, granted, you save a little in this spot because you're going to get shoved on regardless, but I just don't like giving such a great price with a hand like Jack-9 that is like kind of middling anyway.
I actually think that that's the worst option of them all, Joe. I don't like raising more off of 20 big blind stack. I think that Jack-9 suited is going to play pretty well, especially in position against hands that you are giving a good price to. I actually even would consider limping sometimes off of a 20 big blind stack with a hand that is middling suited cards where you would love to see a flop and you don't really want to cost yourself too much.
All right, so, limping it is then.
Short answer is no. Thank you for your question.
Oh, God.
9-5 versus ace-3, and it is Pablo Brito who flops best, pairing his 3.
I'm just going to co-opt everything Stapes comes up with. Like the Moray Mondays, mine now. Thank you for your question. Mine. What else can I make mine?
Maria, I've been saying for years, plagiarism saves time.
How do you guys feel when people tweet quotes from other people but do not put them in quotations and does not ever credit the original person? Like that really grinds my gears.
There's a special
who are you
corner in
subtweeting
hell
right
waiting
now?
for them.
Who am I subtweeting? A lot of
Like
lot
obviously
of people.
you're referencing someone specific. Just say who they are. Now I'm
No,
big,
I actually, it's
obviously
happened
as someone
so.
who creates as
No,
someone
go ahead,
who
Joe.
creates things, like I'm big on crediting people, and I almost never, even if I'm like retweeting a video, like I won't take it off that person's tweet and put it on my own. I just think it's really messed up how people do that. And there's so many people that are like respected in social media circles. Like I'm sorry, he seems like a nice guy, but like Rex Chapman, for example, like only reposts other people's stuff, and he's like, that's like his thing. And I don't think that's right.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, I'm subtweeting too many people to name, Joe. That's the thing. It happens so frequently
Right.
that I couldn't even start listing off all the people that do it.
King Jack for Tino Mulder. 220k. And Christoph Vogelsang in the big blind with King 3. Folds. And Joni Jokamainen still chip leader right now. Started the day as the biggest stack. Lost that chip lead at 1 point to Pablo Brito. Not going to play the King 8. Brito opens with Ace 6 suited. And again, it's round to the blinds. Just a new hope left to decide. Folds the 7-5. And this event is going on break. The players will take a 5-minute hiatus, but we are not going on break. So don't go anywhere. We're welcoming a very special guest to the stream. We're joined right now by a genuine Scoop legend, a former player of the series who's won 10, count them, 10 Spring Championship of online poker titles, more than any other player. And yes, he is a member of the Scoop Hall of Fame. Please welcome to the stream, Cal42688, Calvin Anderson. Great to have you with us this evening.
Yeah, thanks for having me. How's it going?
Cal, let's begin at the very, very beginning. It's going well, thank you. I'm interested in knowing when you first started playing Scoop and when you had your first big result. When did this story start?
The first Scoop that I did well in was a 16 rebuy, PLO, and I barely knew how to play the game at the time, so I didn't even play like the higher buy-in, or like I think I only played the low, and yeah, so I didn't even play the medium. Like the medium was like 100 rebuy, and I was like, I'm not good enough at this game to throw like 100 rebuy into this. So yeah, I got a little lucky, I beat a lot of people in that specific event. But any of the low buy-ins there's a little skill, a little luck, So yeah, that was quite a rush, winning such a big field, low buy-in. Would you still recommend that people take shots at games they barely know how to play if they're going to do it in the low? Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
why not the
I
high
think that
too?
Yeah, I mean, people certainly do it. But yeah, no, that's what's cool about the Scoop is that, you know, so many people just come out and fire, and they don't, you know, that so many people don't know how to play the game, basically. And even in the highs, you know, because they want to get the fame or whatever, you know. So it's I mean, in the lows and the mediums, I would say that, you know, a pretty low percentage of people are actually good at the game, which is quite fun.
So 2014 was the year that you were named player of the series. What are your memories of that Scoop? Granted, it's 7 years ago now.
Yeah, I don't even remember. I'm actually like, when I think about those, I think about the times that I didn't win, because I got second once, and then I got like right whenever Black Friday hit, I was like late, and then I like won 2 events, and I think I got like 5th or something, and I missed like half the events, and I'm like, geez, like, you know, I don't know, yeah, not to like brag or anything, but but yeah, no, it's. But yeah.
I'm glad you brought up Black Friday, actually, because are you American, Canadian? What's your deal? Where do you play from now? I thought you were Canadian, but don't you live in America now? Tell me about your life.
yeah. A lot of people think I'm Canadian. I actually was raised in a town in Oklahoma called Yukon. So like I would have the Yukon symbol, because back in the day they would just do like the town you're from, right? And then people just thought it was like the Yukon from Canada or something like that, right? So a lot of people just thought I was Canadian. Right. And I think there actually is another Calvin Anderson from Canada.
We say Canada.
But yeah. But yeah, I'm kind of floating a bit right now. I was in Vegas for a while. I was in Mexico for quite a while. That's where I was basically based. Lived in Cabo when Black Friday hit. So yeah.
Well, I'm interested. You mentioned another Calvin Anderson. Are you aware of the other Calvin 7V, who is crushing again this year and could well be the 2021 player of the series?
Yeah, he's an amazing player. He's good at just about all the games, you know, and he's definitely understands how to win a tournament for sure. You know, him and I have battled for years. You know, it's kind of funny. I'm like looking at my own name, battling him. You know, he's phenomenal. I mean, he beat me. Like the last time I went really hard during Scoop, I got second. And he got first, which is devastating, because like it's like the way they do the payouts, are like first is like 50,000, second 0. For like the
I think that was back. That was back in 2018. Now Cal is going to stick around for a while, but Joe, you are going to take your well-earned break. Go get yourself a hot dog as we return to the final table of event 33 high. Here we go, and I'm interested, Cal. Any history against any of these players over the years? Yeah, I recognize all but A New Hope, which it seems like he's a satellite winner, if I'm right. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, all the rest of them, we have a good bit of history. They're all pretty good regs, you know. So yeah, the A New Hope is the one I'm rooting for.
Now,
yeah, the Regs have enough money. We already talked about how rich Christoph is, so you know he's
exactly.
I mean, not only are they rich, but they probably have crypto too. So like they just by default.
It's like kind of just all of the money in all of the currencies. Maria, the one thing we didn't mention there, of course, is, and one of the reasons why Cal is joining us today is, once again, this coming Friday, you're going to be hosting a couple of replays of non-Hold'em events. You got to do 5-card draw and No Limit Omaha 8 or better with Benny Glazer last week. This week, Mr. Anderson is going to be joining you on stream.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, we're going to be doing 8-game, which obviously Calvin has quite a bit of experience in. Calvin and I, you know, we've had a lot of times when we've played against each other. We've hung out outside of the poker table, and I'm just really interested in hearing his insight, because something that I do know about Calvin, playing against him over the years, but also talking poker with him, is that he sometimes is willing to think kind of outside of the box in certain spots where other players might not be willing to. And I think that's what makes him so great. But that's also the kind of insight nowadays you're not really going to get, because TO players are playing a very standard way and a very formulaic way. And so it's really nice when somebody is willing to deviate from that, especially in their commentary as well.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate the compliment there. Yeah, I definitely consider myself to be not a GTO player. I'm not hitting the books like these other guys are. I don't know the. Yeah, I kind of just do what I kind of what I think or feel, and find interesting exploits. So yeah, that I'm really looking forward to that. I was actually quite a lot more excited about the mixed games. I'd much rather just talk about the mixed games than Hold'em. Hold'em is a bit boring for me at this point.
Well, it's good that we have the mixed games on the Scoop schedule and the WCOOP schedule as well. One thing I wanted to ask actually quickly, as we see the domination rotation in Pablo Brito's favor here, is did you make the same mistake as Christoph Vogelsang, 26/07/1985? Did you not realize that that box was for your name and not your date of birth when you registered for a Stars ID?
Wow. That's funny. I can't. No, I mean, mine was intentional.
Okay.
But yeah. I think I started out at like Cal, like a couple smaller ones, and then just like whatever, just do the whole birthday. But yeah, you think that was a legitimate mistake?
I don't think it was a legitimate mistake, but I like to think there's kind of 26th of July, 1985. Oh no! And now I've confirmed it.
I think I've asked Christoph about that before, and I think he said something like, I think it's just the way his mind works, that was kind of he had a reason behind it, so it wasn't accidental. I can't quite remember what the reason was, but.
Well, Yoni
nice. So this is the 5K.
Wow.
High roller.
Yeah, and we've got the bet from Yoni and the raise from Pablo Brito, which wins in the pot.
Yeah, we've seen Pablo be willing to take the aggressive line in a lot of situations, and I think partially it's his experience coming through at these final tables, but also when you do have one of the bigger stacks, even though in that situation he was against Yanni, who has the biggest stack, I think you realize the pressure you can put on other players in general in these type of situations.
Yeah, a lot of bad river cards there. I like that he turned that hand to a bluff. It's a tough spot to be out of position in there, and you don't really know what to do. It's kind of out of the box a bit to make that raise. Some people would naturally just think call or fold, but yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
King Jack versus Queen 10 here, and C Darwin 2, Simon Matson, the shortest stack at this final table with 12 bigs behind.
I'm interested to see what C Darwin does here versus a bet, but
yeah, no bet.
Yeah, quite a bit of equity in C Darwin's eyes, you know, having 2 overs to that board, the gut shot, straight draw.
Well, the bet from C Darwin on the turn. And now it's a New Hope who's the shortest stack at the table with 15 bigs. Folds the 9-8 under the gun. Ace-Queen for Tuin Mulder. I love the fact that inevitably there's always someone watching who has never seen C Darwin at a final table before, which means you're probably a first-time viewer because he's been on every single final table that we've covered during Scoop. But inevitably, there's always someone who thinks that they've got an original idea by making a joke about his game evolving. And it's like, if I had a nickel for every time someone made that joke.
Yeah, C. Darwin's a great player. I think one of the things that he does well is he values his tournament life. So like he's the type of guy that takes a lot of things pre-flop and then like makes decisions early, and then he doesn't like to be all in, and I think that really projects him to doing well. Interesting turn here.
Yeah, very interesting turn card. So Mulder now with top pair and still has the straight draw. A straight draw for Pabritz and the spade draw as well. Plus, of course, a pair of tens.
It's kind of a weird spot because you have a lot of equity and you could turn it into a bluff here, kind of semi-bluff, but you're not really getting much to fold. So like deciding, this is a legitimate decision for him. Like, do I bet to pot control or do I just check to see my equity? Interesting.
Yeah, I think this bet is really just targeting a... Yeah, go ahead, Calvin.
Go ahead.
I was just saying that
no,
this
you're
type
right.
of bet size is really going to target a lot of the king X's here because, you know, you don't really want the king X's to continue profitably, but obviously a hand like ace queen is going to have to call.
And classic river for the jack ten of spades. Doesn't get there. And that's a huge pot for Tino Mulder, who at one point was the shortest stack at the final table and is now second in chips.
Yeah, dynamics have changed a lot. Now, you know, Bustoville's got a good position here to where he can open a lot more hands because of he doesn't have anybody that's going to put direct pressure on him that much. So like, you know, this is a good spot. I like him taking this because when you look at the big blind, he's going to go all in or fold most of the time. He's not going to really peel. So your hand doesn't necessarily matter in that situation, which is kind of a unique spot to open with kind of any two type of situation. I mean, you can. I'm not recommending it always, but.
Oh, come on, Calvin. You know you would open any two given that dynamic shift. You'd be like, I'm on it. I'm on it.
No, so, I mean, I would have opened it.
I get you not recommending it to people because people might not be able to navigate posts as well as you do, but you know you would be in there with any two. Come on. Yeah.
Well, the thing is that spot doesn't go post. That's the whole point, right?
Most of the time.
Whenever the big blind has, 13, 14 blinds, and then like, Darwin's going to shove or fold, and then, you could get 3-bet by one of the other two. They're not going to flat that often. It just doesn't even, you don't see the river almost ever. You don't see the flop almost ever. So that's kind of like the reason why you could open potentially any two in that spot. Because, I mean, a blocker would be better, I guess, but.
Wow. Mulder is now drawing dead. Top two for Pabritz, plus the jack high flush draw, 250k into 806k. Mulder with top pair.
Yeah, such an enticing size to call with top pair, but you know that there's so many bad river cards for your hand.
Oh, and I'm guessing Mulder might be thinking he's now chopping against a lot of aces.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is
not this one. And yeah, well observed, David 7519. This is a reverse of the previous hand. And I mean, if a value bet gets paid off on the river here, all those chips that Mulder won are going to go back to Pabritz.
Yeah, and when I was saying that there's a lot of bad rivers for Tino, that's not one of them. That's probably as good of a river as you could hope for, other than, possibly an ace, because now, as you mentioned, it does look like they're chopping. And if you're just up against the bluffs that Pabritz has in this spot, then it'd be hard to not conceivably call.
Yeah, he's calling. I'd be really surprised if he did anything else.
Now, certainly Pabritz
that.
could have, you know, king-queen type hands with the king of diamonds or the queen of diamonds, and all of those hands have missed but have blockers, so looks pretty attractive.
Yeah,
Mulder
there's just
using
too many
a
draw
healthy
combinations.
chunk of his time bank here. The half pot bet from Pabritz. I mean, I guess.
Yeah, not to mention all of the ace-x hands that are going to be chopping in this spot, but maybe realizing that Pabritz is willing to try to fold him off of those chops instead of just checking back.
Zeno jokes waiting for stream to catch up. We'll talk about that in a moment, actually, because we've had a question on YouTube as Tino decides to call and pays off the bet. Well, very quickly, we need to head across to event number 31. This is the 1K 8 max as we see Lex Veldhouse all in with King Jack. Unfortunately for Lex, Gordon has got the rockets. And Gordon just working out how to try and keep the other two players interested. I love the way, by the way, that Nicholas Ashtet, Lena 900, has changed his avatar to the Brazilian flag. Diamonds don't help Lex. Drawing dead on the turn, and that will do it. Lex finishing in 11th place in that event. But remember, Lex also made day 2 of the 1K 6 max. That restarts in about an hour's time. So we'll keep you posted with how he progresses in that one.
A lot of people bet on Lex on like poker shares and stuff, right? Like I think he's like,
yeah, I feel like Lex has been
like,
crushing in the last, crushing life, crushing Twitch streams, crushing tournaments.
I think he crushed Elke one time too, right?
Wow, that's going back a few years. I mean, Elke has had to have multiple operations on his nose since then.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that 7-4 is not going to win this pot.
What happened here? A float? He like... How are there so many chips in the pot?
Does appear to be a lot of chips in the pot for 7-4.
He probably just, it's probably standard.
So we did have a question about how we're able to bring cards up coverage of Scoop. It was Mystic Rico Rock on YouTube. He says, really new to this really cool channel. Could I ask how we're able to view all the cards? And I appreciate that many of you have heard this explanation before, so apologies for going over old ground, but have to take into account that we have got people watching for the first time, and it's worth explaining how the delay works. You see in the center of the table, just above the pot, it says delay time 30 minutes. Bear in mind, when we talk about the delay, there is no version of the PokerStars software that displays cards in real time. This is not recording a version of the client and storing that video for 30 minutes. What you're seeing right now is actually a recreation of the hand. It's a replayer. So every time a hand concludes on Stars, a hand history is generated. And those hand histories are stored on the server for 30 minutes, and only then are those hands then exported into the replayer, which lets us view the hands half an hour after they've been played. And again, to be clear, the hand history, which details a player's hole cards, can only be exported, can only be generated after the hand is concluded. There is literally no one in customer support, no one in the game integrity team, no one at Stars who is able to view the hole cards of an active hand. Only once the pot has been pushed is that hand generated. And for our purposes, we don't get to see it until 30 minutes after the event. Cliffs, God mode, not a thing.
So you're saying this isn't like ultimate bet back in the day? Is that what you're trying to say?
Nope. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Lucky Fish with the boat, trying to get some value. And there is a little bit of consideration coming from the king high.
He'll probably call.
Oh, well, that deserves one of these. Hero call gone wrong. And I'll be honest with you, coming into this final table and seeing 41 big blind average and the chip distribution, I thought we'd have more than one elimination after an hour and 15 minutes of play.
Yeah, I think one of the issues, though, is I think we've been watching and covering a lot of PKOs, and those obviously go a lot faster because people are going to be calling lighter for the bounties. And in this situation, a 40 big blind stack goes a lot longer of a way when people aren't necessarily going to be in a rush to get it in pre.
Yeah, people definitely play more cautious, 9-handed, 8-handed, and then they're probably going to open it up a lot more once it gets shorter-handed. And it makes a lot of sense to just try not to get 9th or 8th, you know, ranges are, yeah. I think this happens a lot. I think this is pretty standard in a no limit final table where, you know, you just nobody busts for like a long time, and then you see like a lot of knockouts basically as the blinds move up.
Well, the blinds going up every 30 minutes, and in 7 minutes time they'll go from 50-100 to 60-120. Men Are Still Good says, is seeing hole cards online a new thing? Only recently got back into poker. It's something that we debuted last year. We had Stadium Series, Barry Greenstein, Ace on the River. Stadium Series when we debuted this, and since then we've had cards up coverage of WCOOP, EPT Online, the Blowout Series. This is the first time we've been able to do live cards up coverage of the Spring Championship of Online Poker. So it's the SCOOP debut of this tech. Now, 1.4 million, hefty bet from Joni Jokemainen. The Brits with just a 6. You call here, Pablo, you're getting the meme.
Yeah, definitely. This one's worthy of the meme.
Yeah, especially when you're blocking 5-4, which is, you know, a missed straight draw. It's just, there's just not a ton of bluffs here that I think Yanni could have. I mean, the 9-7 from the flop gets there. You know, if you had a gut shot on the flop, it got there. If you just had the open ender, it's the only one that really missed from the flop. But having a 4 in your hand as Pabritz is not as good of a call as, you know, maybe a hand like King 6 would be.
Yeah, I like Bustoville's sizing here.
I guess the positive is he's taking his time over this decision. At least it's not a snap call with a 6.
I mean, he might be considering turning this into a bluff.
Good note. Makes the hero call.
That is one of
Wow,
my
2
favorite
in 1 orbit.
animations.
What is
That's rough,
happening
yeah.
today? And that
Yeah,
is the biggest chip lead we've seen Joni Jokamainen have at this final table. Nearly 8 million now.
You know, it's easy on this side where we can see the cards, but you know, in the moment, you know, leveling wars, and I mean, his bet sizing was really big, which you know makes one think that he has, you know, pretty high 2-pair straight or flush basically. So like, you know, he's not going to be betting that with, you know, 1-pair hands. His sizing is really big, so he's kind of like taking his hand and polarizing it to like nuts or nothing. So I mean, he's never really gonna like turn a 10 into a bluff there, or just like have a single ace. So I understand the call, but you know, it's it's not right this time.
Oh,
Ooh.
wow. Top 2 against a set of 3s.
This will not be pretty.
What will be amazing now is if pocket 9s blast off.
Wow, this is a big one.
Yeah, especially when the turn gets checked around like that. As Tino, obviously, you were really hoping that maybe you could get a bet out of Yanni on that flop. And now you're just like, how do I maximize? I have such a big hand. Little do you know that Christoph's laying there with the 3s, with the set.
Wow, he gets the bet. Surely he's going to check raise here.
Well, 9s get out of the way. Now's the opportunity for the check raise from Fogelsang. Just calls. And this is one of those boards, Maria, which we've been discussing for the last few days, where both Broadway and the wheel are possible.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Except, unfortunately, neither player has those hands, but
that's not relevant.
Now people know what we're talking about. I think Tino knows that they could obviously still go for value here. Yeah, Jack 10 gets there, and maybe because of the small sizing on the turn, there's still going to be some Jack 10s left in Christoph's range, but obviously just too good of a hand to not bet for value here.
We didn't get the check raise on the turn, Cal. Do you think we get a raise on the river? No, just a call.
The hands play very cautiously. Yeah, I would have definitely re-raised the turn there. And then you could have maybe re-raised the river. Him betting so big on the river there makes it a little bit maybe more of a call, but yeah, I think he missed a lot of value, you know.
Well, Lucky Fish 89. Opening here with Ace Jack, 9s for Pabritz. And re-raises to 650K.
Yeah, and some players facing an under the gun open might just flat with a hand like 9s off of that stack size. Pabritz taking, in a more aggressive line than I think you would see from some other players in this particular spot.
So if Lucky Fish shoves here, do you think that Pabritz will call with 9s?
I think that's what makes the 3-bet interesting, right? Is because it won't feel like a call with 9s against a 4-bet shove, but Lucky Fish not even wanting to peel with Ace Jack suited, though.
Yeah. it's a weird spot because like you have nines and you don't want to feel like a girl by just like folding them, but you don't want to like call because you're too shallow. And then, sorry to say the girl thing. I didn't mean it that way.
I was gonna say, oh, like a girl, Cal. Next time we're just gonna shove it right
Cal,
in your face.
Is that why you have the 1988 in your screen name? Because you're kind of living in the year 1988?
Yeah, maybe.
So
I don't know what I'm allowed to like say on here.
You're allowed to say, you know, most things, but just know that you're gonna get some shit for it.
Yeah.
Well,
just guess 18 plus. So.
What I was going to say is that now the blinds are up to 61.20. It's not a great spot for a New Hope 13, who's hovering around the million mark right now. A sub 10 big blind stack.
Yeah, you know, this is what you're going to see a lot with people that aren't, you know, super experienced in these situations. You know, they're going to blind down and then just try to like get all in, where, you know, the more experienced are going to take those, they're going to take those risks that the standard player or that isn't really experienced in these situations, they're just going to take the risk at around like 10 blinds that most players are going to take it like maybe, you know, 17 to 20 to try to maintain fold equity and maintain options. So, you know, most of the better players they're trying to keep all their options open, so they'll be able to re-steal, they'll be able to like, you know, open potentially. And yeah, they're going to try not to get down to 10 blinds where they are, because you're going to have to go to showdown a lot. And in any situation, when you have to go to showdown, you're going to lose like at least, you know, 20% of the time. So that's what I think a lot of the better players are attempting to avoid. And they're just like taking that gamble when they have a little bit more chips rather than, you know, getting down. It's really short.
Oh, we have a setup here. We have John Clark, Lucky Fish 89 with Ace King. Meanwhile, in the big blind, Christoph Vogelsang taking flight with the pocket rockets.
I mean, you never know. He missed a lot of value in the last one, so he's just going to call here a lot, you know, and slow play it. And I think he will, actually. What do y'all think? Do you think he's going to re-raise here or just call? Oh, okay.
It's does over. Re-raise. Does re-raise. And now,
I could see some merit in. I could see some merit, you know, in the flat and the slow play, because when you have about a 25 big blind stack like Lucky Fish does, there's probably not a ton of hands that you're going to be willing to go with off of that stack size in that spot. But luckily for Christoph, Ace King is one of the strong ones.
Yeah, you know, I think.
There we go. And not looking good for Lucky Fish. Drawing dead on the turn, and great news for a New Hope 13 who ladders up with that super short stack as John Clark cashes out in 7th place for nearly $50,000, and we are now down to the final 6 at this 5K final table. Christoph Vogelsang, new chip leader, by the way, by virtue of that aces versus Ace King coup. And at this point in time, we are going to release Cal back into the wild. But Cal, you and Maria get to work together again on Friday. By the way, the hilarious thing is we talked earlier on about the fact that Joe believes he's never heard Maria swear before. And tonight, you made Maria swear on stream. So all I'm going to say is Friday's going to be awesome. I look forward to watching the two of you breaking down the 8 game and look forward to some non-Hold'em replays on Friday.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks for having me.
Not at all, Cal. Look forward to Friday, and thanks for joining us today.
Solid.
You keep him in line, Maria. I love it.
Oh, I will. I will. Considering I've been playing poker for as long as I have, you guys all know that can't be possibly even close to the worst or most offensive thing I've ever heard. So I'm good.
No, also clearly no mean intent there. And
no,
look, anytime you can have the player who has won more Scoop titles than anyone else in history be a part of our coverage. We are very grateful for any time that Cal can give us.
Not surprised to see Christoph with the chip lead now. Obviously, he did have some run good to get here, but I just have seen Christoph navigate final tables so incredibly well. I know that he's not only a huge student of the game, but he is just one of those really brilliant poker minds.
Yeah. I mean, what was the ladder, by the way? So it was nearly 50,000. So, wow, near enough $15,000 that both Darwin, I'm looking at the players who kind of are likely to go out next, right? So a New Hope, Darwin, they're the shortest stacks right now. Another 15K by virtue of that hand. Guys, Calvin was only ever going to be with us for half an hour. We didn't bin him off. Oh, conspiracy theorists, left, right, and center. Let's put it this way, if he's not on the stream on Friday, then you can start asking questions and positing your theories. Sixes versus nines.
Yeah, definitely in case it still needs further clarification. I was not offended by what Calvin said, and I know Calvin didn't mean anything by it. Calvin and I have been very good friends for a long time, but I don't think he'll be saying that again.
Well, nine's still good here. Joni Jokamainen reclaimed the chip lead, by the way. And unless Tuan Mulder bluffs this river with a pair of sixes, Jokamainen's going to win another pot and move up over the 8 million mark.
Yeah, and if you know that Yanni's not going to play top pair like this, you know, it probably would have put in a bet at some point with an ace either on the flop or the turn. I think that, yeah, this is not a bad spot to try to turn your sixes into a bluff. Just make it very, very tough for a lot of these hands that aren't strong enough to bet the flop or the turn to call.
The way things are going for a New Hope 13, they're literally going to get blinded out of this final table.
Yeah, and unfortunate for them, they just really haven't gotten too many spots. Unfortunately, you know, when you have good active players with much bigger stacks, you won't see a lot of unopened spots when it gets to you, and certainly hasn't really had the hands to go with.
Okay, here's what's going to happen, Maria. I will tee you up by saying, you know what they say. As soon as you hear me say the word say, you start singing. I will wait to try and sync with you, okay? Let's see if this works. They both had a straight. That was a chop pot. And you know what they say?
Everyone loves
a chop pot. How do we do, team? How do we do?
It feels like it's been too long since we did that. Like, I'm so glad we had the opportunity today. It's been maybe at least 2 streams that I've done where we haven't.
Okay, I'm seeing not bads and solids. 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10. Actually not bad. Closest yet, pretty good.
Ooh. That might be the way to do it from now on. I don't know, but then we might have to get someone else involved, you know, when Joe gets back on, and it could get complicated again.
Yeah. Where is Joe, by the way? Another one? God, that man must have mustard flowing through his veins. Pocket fives for Vogelsang, and flops another set.
Makes it look easy. Usually, you know, most people with these small pairs, they're just like,
Yeah.
I know I'm just going to have to check fold most flops, but not Christoph.
Oh, God, the Beltman just reminded me about the relish. Yeah, of course, Joe literally eats relish from the container. That was foul. It's one of the foulest things that's happened on this stream. Oh, I can't believe I just got reminded of that. Actually makes me feel a bit queasy. Okay, just a full house.
Yeah, and I could see Christoph sometimes going for a tricky check back, just because you do have so many 10Xs when it's check to you and you bet that flop, where you can pretty comfortably put your opponent on a lot of these ace highs. And so you're thinking, would I be able to get 2 more streets of value from them? But doesn't go for the slow play.
For the avoidance of doubt, relish in a small quantity as a condiment used on actual food is fine. Relish in quantity as a food chugged directly from its plastic container, that's just foul.
Yanni, not quite a believer yet on the turn, but again, it does feel like it would be hard for Christoph to get another street of value here on the river from a hand like ace high. But we have seen a couple of hero calls gone wrong today so far, so maybe these final table lists are in some type of mood. Definitely the sizing matters in this situation, because something relatively small could pique Yanni's curiosity.
$2.5 million is the pot. So give it a few seconds and we'll see what Vogelsang's sizing is. 1.5.
I mean, Yanni knows that Christoph will have a lot of those Broadway hands that contain a 10, the suited ones, of course. You know, the king 10s, queen 10s, jack 10 suiteds, and also 5s and 3s. Definitely possible. So
gets the fold and increases his chip lead, Maria. Christoph now playing more than 9 million. And I commented before about A New Hope potentially just being blinded out. And we did almost see that the other night, where a player was forced all in on the big blind. And I've only ever seen it once before that in a live event at the final table of EPT Deauville. I think it was 2012, where there was a player who I think came in with like 20 big blinds, didn't play a hand for the entire final table. And literally, the only hand they played was when they were forced all in from the big blind. They didn't win.
see Darwin with an interesting hand on this board with that overcard plus the gut shot. You know that you're going to be facing a C bet at a pretty high frequency coming from Christoph. So I do like this check raise line.
And another blind on blind situation. Darwin with Queen Deuce. 10-7 of diamonds for Christoph. Ace 8-5 on the flop.
And Christoph certainly can turn quite a bit of backdoor equity. And because this is such a small pot, limped pot pre, that taking a stab wouldn't be the worst thing to do, just hoping to get C. Darwin to fold here.
Have some of that.
Yeah, it's tough for a New Hope because obviously 9-5 suited doesn't look too good, but you know that the small blind is probably going to put you in nearly with 100% of range, maybe only folding, you know, the very, very worst, the 7 deuce off, but against your effective stack size, it almost feels like you have to call it off even with some weak hands, but ace 10 looking much better.
Oh, straight draw alert. But no, pair of aces good, and that is a double up for a New Hope. Still short, hovering around the 10 big blind mark, but still alive. Just stay alive, and I will find you. Well, ace 8 of diamonds. Mulder just calling.
Yeah, Mulder really wanting to see a flop with such a strong hand from the small blind here against the big blind.
Ace high, still the best hand.
Yeah, and king high also has showdown value on this type of texture, so that's why you see the check back by Yanni.
And pairing his 8 on the river. Mulder will bet 420k. It is an over bet. Tempted to hero here with king high. Nope, Jokamainen folds. And with 10 bigs, how does a New Hope feel about getting it in with ace 9?
Yeah, I think that this is a mandatory all-in spot for New Hope, and that raise is effectively committing.
And round 2, Bustoville, Joni Jokamainen. Started this final table as chip leader. That honor now belongs to Christoph Vogelsang, 2607, 1985. And that's going to be raise and take it for Jokamainen. And time for us to do our who's in for more than one bullet check. Pabritz on his second bullet. So Pablo Brito is actually playing a 10k here. both Bustoville and Vogelsang, both Jokamainen and Christoph Vogelsang, are in for 3. So for them, this is a $15,000 buy-in event. This might get folded to the blinds. Nope. Christoph is going to open on the button with 8-5. And Mulder has him dominated with 9-8 of spades.
Yeah, Christoph just maybe feeling like it's a bit criminal to pass up any open spot on the button as the chip leader. And you know that if a New Hope shoves, you can easily fold and you lose 2 bigs, but a New Hope isn't going to wake up with that many shovable hands over the open.
Christoph bets again. So Mulder with the gut shot and backdoor spades. Worth 1 call? See a turn?
Yeah, it does feel like for Mulder, you have some equity that you want to try to realize. You know that you don't want to necessarily put in a lot of chips, especially when a New Hope is pretty short. But goes for the raise instead.
Nice. And that will end this hand. Well, let's get Joe Stapleton back into the mix. And Joe, are you surprised to come back and see that there's only been 1 elimination since you left us? In fact, as we come towards the end of the second session, we've only had 2 eliminations. We're still 6-handed.
Not at all surprised, because I assume most of these players would prefer to have me commentate on their bust out than anyone else. So I figured they're just
that's what they were waiting for
that reason alone.
Makes sense.
I mean, how did a New Hope not get in with Queen 4 there? They would have flopped 2 pair. It's crazy. All right, here's another chance. Slightly better Queen.
Yeah, and this all-in likely to get through. And a New Hope staying alive. Mulder with pocket 5s.
No. Press no.
Yeah, it's tough to open those small pairs when you have someone like Yanni right behind you with a big chip stack and probably going to be playing their button fairly aggressively. I mean, even in this spot, if Tino had opened King 3 suited is probably good enough to 3-bet against the cutoff open.
Pablo Brito responds with the re-raise with King 10.
We saw Brito get a little funky with his chicken with a very similar hand early in this final table. Looks like Yanni is considering not giving up, but does.
Yeah, it's just so hard because when you're 3-betting off of what was at the time about a 25 big blind stack size from Pabritz, it just feels so strong, and it feels like you are trying to induce your opponent into getting it all in with you. And that's kind of the power of that stack size and taking a 3-bet with a hand that has a blocker in it, because a lot of the times you're going to be expecting Yanni to be opening quite wide from the button.
King, Queen suited. Pablo Brito opens to 300K. Ace 4 for our chip leader, Christoph Vogelsang. And it's a re-raise to 792,000. can't fold King
Yeah,
Queen suited in
Christoph-
position.
No, you definitely can't. But Christoph clearly, you know, understanding that also Pabritz isn't going to be able to continue with a lot of hands as well. But King Queen suited just happens to be good enough to go all in with. Take that, Christoph.
Ace-7 suited opens. And we have Tino Mulder with Ace-10 offsuit in the big blind.
This final table has just been one long pre-flop game of chicken. Just a lot of pre-flop leveling, not a whole lot of actual all-ins. All-in and calls, I should say.
Ace-7 bets 120k. Ace-10, better than a 3-1 favorite. Calls. Does Jokamainen want to take another stab at this?
Yeah, of course, knowing that they could be putting a lot of pressure on some middle pair type hands and some draws as well, but just feels like Tino could have a lot of value there that they won't be folding. Tino not realizing that they're turning the best hand into a bluff here, but for Yanni, certainly some of the draws missed. Some came in, namely the open-ended straight draw, but not going to look it up with ace high.
And we're coming to the end of this session. Vogelsang opening with Queen 10, another domination situation. Ace 10 for Joni Jokamainen in the big blind.
Two huge stacks.
And looking
pretty
good
nice when you
for
defend
Joni.
ace 10 and hit this flop.
Yeah. And Vogelsang continues, 163,500. Oh, now pairs his queen on the turn. I wonder if this hand could see a change in the chip lead.
Likely going to be a check back, though, for Christoph, because clearly that board on the flop is not very draw heavy. So Yanni really leaning towards having, you know, the ace X's here, and trip nines obviously could be a possibility. So Christoph happy to just take this to showdown on the river.
And does Christoph check this back on the river?
You don't really want to be trying to bluff someone off of 3 nines or an ace, really.
Wow, bet and a call. And we do see a change in the chip lead as our tournament goes on a 5-minute break. Maria is also going to take a 5-minute break as Joe and I go big picture and take a look at the latest Scoop stats. We're now in a situation where 81 games have completed, 370,000 entries across the series, total prize money of nearly $30 million, and first place payouts of more than $4.5 million. And with the first week of tournaments in the books, This is the state of play in the Player of the Series race. It is led by Calvin 7V, Jussi Nevenlina with 700 points. I have to say, Joe, there are some big names in contention right now. Patrick Lannard, Talal Shikirchi.
I mean, there are some literal big names. Look at that, Ilari Fabahaba Takakalio. I mean, that is quite a large, long name.
We're joined right now by our Scoop correspondent, Howard Swains from the PokerStars blog. And Howard, Calvin 7V at the top of that leaderboard. 2 wins for Jussi Nevenlina so far. And an incredible 2 wins. I know we went over this the other night, but please recap the story because I can't underline enough what an amazing accomplishment this is.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right, James. It needs to be highlighted. So he won 2 events in the same night, of 2 tournaments on the same event in the same night. So he won the low tier and the high tier of the fixed limit 08. It had only ever been done once before on the very first year of Scoop. And it's really, really difficult to do, particularly when you factor in that he's been playing the low and the medium and the high. He also made the final table of the medium in that event. It's actually, that's what Jussi's really good at. He's playing everything. And if you want to be player of the series, you need to play a lot. And so far, we've actually looked at his stats and but before last night, he'd fired 133 bullets and he'd cashed 27 times. And he's made 5 final tables, 3 in that event we just alluded to. But he now leads the overall leaderboard by 100 points, as you've just seen. And coming into tonight, he was chip leader in that big PKO event as well.
All right, Howard, as long as we're talking about the leaderboard, there's only one person I'm interested in. They say no man is an island, but apparently one man is a country, and I'm talking about the country of Montenegro. What is going on?
Well, you're talking about Dejan Karađorđević. He's won 3 events, and he has 300 leaderboard points, which means he's got the only points he's got so far are from those 3 events that he's won. Now, that's enough to put him in 3rd place on the high-ranking leaderboard. But he doesn't factor yet on the other ones because he's only winning events. He's not cashing anywhere else. He's not picking up any other events. I mean, that's obviously one way to do it, but he's not putting in as much volume as the others. And so he's not. You'd expect him maybe to be winning the leaderboard at the moment, but he isn't. He's only 3rd, and that's only on the high leaderboard.
Yeah,
what a terrible strategy just to win.
Exactly. You would expect him to be in the top 10 for that triple win. One of these days, Howard, I'm going to put you on the spot and get you to explain the algorithm. But I do want to ask, or rather state, there is still a long way to go, right? It's by no means guaranteed that this top 10 will have any of the same names in it at the end of the series.
Absolutely. There's plenty of ways to go yet. And there's some names that are just notably missing. There's the Nerd guy's not on there. Rui Ferreira's not on there. João Vieira's not on there. These guys are always cropping up. So, long way to go. And any of those can still make a charge.
Thanks for the update, Howard. We'll check in with you again tomorrow.
Cheers. Good night.
Well, as Howard referenced there, our player of the series leader, Calvin 7V, Jussi Nevenlina, came into day 2 of SCOOP-33-H, which is the 2K progressive KO as chip leader. Let's just go over to that event now, and he was the chip leader. Calvin is now the short stack and is actually all in, Joe.
Uh-oh. Has the 3rd best hand here pre-flop and is definitely not going to get off lightly here. Is going to need to get a little lucky to survive. Does have live
King
cards.
9 against
King is already folded.
Ace, Jack, Ace on the turn. Did pick up the flush draw. Doesn't improve on the river. That is a KO. So that is Jussi Nevenlina eliminated from the 2K PKO in 11th place. Crucially, does pick up more Player of the Year points as we return to the final table of event 33-H, the 5K High Roller Club Special Edition. 2 players in the danger zone.
Danger zone!
Joni Jokemainen, the chip leader. And I'm going to hand things over to Maria Ho and Joe Stapleton.
Hello, my babies. Welcome back to today's main event. The High Roller Club Special Edition, 6-handed play, short-handed, just the way Maria Ho likes it. And a great get-it-in spot here. Ooh, we're not getting it in with 2 queens from A New Hope. Interesting.
Yeah, New Hope knows that this says to Darwin that they're committed. And, you know, Darwin just opened off a stack where obviously you're not going to come along in that situation.
Bustoville may be headed to Flipsville after this button raise with pocket tens into the ace king of C. Darwin.
Yeah, I can't ask for a much better hand to wake up with here from the big blind. And you're clearly going to hope for a call. It's going to not be a situation of being dominated.
And we are 50-50. Bustoville does fade all of the ace-king outs. There goes C. Darwin. First elimination in a while, out in sixth place for $63,727. 5 remain.
And a New Hope coming
raising
from, you know,
yeah,
a 5 big blind stack at one point.
Oh,
to
boy.
Outlast C. Darwin. Uh-oh.
A New Hope for doubling up. Going to be an 80% favorite to survive and double here. I mean, we didn't see the all-in last time. We don't see it this time either. So maybe the 10s just fold. Nah, there we go. Just as we predicted. Ace high flop. And luckily was not racing against ace king. That's a double up for satellite qualifier, A New Hope. No longer super short.
Yeah, probably really happy to have the playability to go post again. And it's just nice to be to the left of Christoph, who obviously had the chip lead for a while, now is in second in chips, but is still probably going to open fairly consistently before you. So it's nice when Christoph gets out of the way that maybe A New Hope can find some open spots for themselves.
And we have a blind on blind battle shaping up here. King Queen versus Ace Queen. Uh-oh. Tino Mulder getting it in, dominated, but spikes the king on the flop. And on the river. How fast it happens sometimes. Yanni Yakamainen from chip leader to shortest stack in a very short amount of time. Tino Mulder now on top. I thought in the high rollers the best hand held up in those spots, but
no, actually, I think in the high rollers, that's the true test of who runs better out of a bunch of players that run fairly good, fairly often.
Yeah. Who's the luckiest of the lucky? The Dew says, not a terrible play, but lol. I think that's fair. I think that's a fair statement. Heat check is the follow-up. Also fair. King high ahead right now. Gut shot for Bustoville. Now 2 of the shorter stacks going to war.
Yeah, Paburt's just trying to get the small blind to fold a lot of hands that obviously are still live. Pretty much any 2 cards is still alive to make a pair. And for Yanni, having the 10-9 of hearts, yeah, could turn a lot more equity.
40% nearly. Brits in position. Considering another stab. Decides not to. Bustoville left with 10 high. Huh. Just a pair.
This is actually a really good river card, though, for Yanni to rep, because I feel like you would expect that Yanni might have check raised some of the top pairs from the flop, maybe bet them himself. So he certainly does have quite a few 7Xs, especially considering this was a limped pot pre. So really no 7Xs off limits to be in Yanni's range.
Seven is always coming. Just checks, though. And Pabritz has the winner. Just has to check. Easy game. Tino Mulder opening ace-2 suited. Pabritz with ace-jack. And we may be back to a little bit of pre-flop chicken. No, there's no more super short stacks. And here's the 3-bet from Pablo Burrito. What say you, Pablo Tino? Oh, my goodness. We are playing the pre-flop chicken game, but it is not the person who blunked first. What's the past tense of blink? Who blunked first? Pablo Burrito blunk? Is that the word? Blunk? I don't think that's it.
I can't say I've ever heard.
He blank. I don't know what it is. Pocket Kings here for New Hope, who now goes all in. And it's Tino who blunks. Blunking? Bustoville with King, Queen. Blank. I think it's blank. Action folds around to a New Hope, who does in fact have a New Hope after doubling up.
Yeah, Yanni has a great hand here in the big blind to go all in with. Certainly not going to just let this raise get through unchecked.
And just giving it a little bit of time, getting it in. And this time it's Tino forced to give it up.
Uh-oh.
I
think we are going to go to Flipville again. $20 big blind effective stack.
Just a limp.
Certainly neither hand will be folding. Pabritz probably just going to put in the raise and then call against the limp shove.
There's the raise. Here is the shove. Flipping. Sixes are holding, but no longer drawing dead on the turn. Broadway for Pabritz. Yanni Yakamainen, Bustoville. Is Bustoville in 5th place, $83,566.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate for Yanni, just having to play that high variance spot with a dominating hand. You know, in that situation, you're like, okay, well, maybe I'm flipping, but having Tino dominated and getting unlucky there is just soul crushing.
Yeah, really gross. If he weren't in a cash game already, I'd say he's probably pretty broken up about it, but chances are he's already doing Omaha flips for 6 figures. So have a good day, Yanni. Enjoy yourself. We got a New Hope, a little too hopeful, I think, with this move up against the absolute top of Tino Mulder's range.
Yeah, maybe a New Hope just feeling like they don't have a lot to lose now. They've laddered up a few spots. They have some backdoor possibilities with this type of hand. And also, they're a satellite qualifier. So, you know, give me that 6-figure payday and let me put a little gas to the fire.
Glad you brought that up, Maria. Everybody now guaranteed over $100,000. Pretty nice spot to be. For a lot of people, that's a big benchmark. You know, maybe it does open up the game a little bit for someone like A New Hope who's not here all the time. I know it's really easy to convince yourself you're getting bullied by the big stack shark.
Yeah, of course you know that Tino will have some floats against your check raise in that spot, but also Tino more than likely does have quite a few big aces in their range opening under the gun. You turn some showdown value, which is why A New Hope checked, but really good getaway. Like, I actually don't mind the fact that they check raise that flop if they're willing to get away turning a pair instead of maybe perhaps a Broadway draw or flush draw, which is more of what they were looking for, I think, when they check raise that flop.
Is this going to be a huge collision, or is it just going to look like it?
I think it depends on what A New Hope does. I mean, sometimes maybe...
that changes a lot.
Yeah, because certainly a flat by A New Hope would have made Tino's squeeze look a little bit more enticing and profitable with potentially not as strong of a hand as Kings. But in this situation, yeah, Christoph knows I'm opening against opening on the button. I shouldn't have a hand as strong as Ace Jack to Tino, but still the ICM consideration in play.
And what a flop here for Tino. The absolute nuts for now. Christoph has missed, has almost no outs, certainly no immediate outs. This feels like a pretty easy spot for Christoph to just give this up after the commensurate amount of time.
Yeah, facing a pretty small C-bet, but as you mentioned, you know, not a lot that Christoph has working for him, but decides to take one off with ace high regardless. It was about a 15% pot bet. I think that definitely helped the cause a little bit.
Right. And Tino is not going to be all too worried, even though this 5 might be dicey in other situations. And Maria, what do you say we pump up the volume, huh? What do you say we stick another body here in the booth and bring a little bit more noise? Sam Grafton, get in here. There he is.
What's up, guys? How we doing?
Welcome, sir. We're doing great. Hey, we're doing,
Nice.
I mean, Joni Yakamainen is probably hurting a little bit, but we're fine.
Here we are. I feel like last time I commentated, it was Fabritz and Christoph, four-handed. Deja vu all over again.
Yeah, I think this might just be that same tournament. I'm not positive. I'm just going with it, though. I mean, the fact that C. Darwin's gone is the only thing that clued me in that maybe this is different.
What a legend. I feel like I'm in some
5 on. Yeah.
I know. I was going to say I feel like I'm in some like a Greek myth, like some torturous situation where every day I get knocked out. Not like everyone gets bussed out of big tournaments on a Sunday, but I'm the only one who has to come back and commentate on the person that knocked me out the next day, winning the money that I torched. I punted off to Tino Mulder yesterday in this very tournament for a lot of big blinds. And then I have to come back and watch him winning over 100K. Absolutely brutal.
I mean, there's a certain amount of... I mean, are there worse ways to go out than punting?
No, but I called it off. I called it off.
Oh.
I checked the hands.
Not exactly.
I checked the hand today. It's more fun if you just blaze it in there in glorious fashion.
Yeah.
With ace 3 suited. That's a fine way to go out, of course. Respectable way to go out. So who's a new Hope 13? This is a new
exactly what it
scene.
says on the tin, Sam Grafton. Yeah, this is a satellite qualifier. Don't have a ton of information on this human other than that they are registered in Russia.
Love it. Love it.
And they have a terrifying avatar that I definitely would block if I was at their table, but unfortunately I cannot.
Yeah, very blockable avatar. I agree with that.
I figure we might as well press the button. I don't think much else is going to happen here.
Be good if it came up on the screen and the players could see it.
Right.
Like a warning.
I mean,
a warning.
maybe not the best.
Listen, you you can call, but you are against aces. Know that first.
I mean, that's an interesting variant if you're playing like a full ring and there's an alert that goes off that tells you someone has aces.
Yeah. I feel
Like
there
you don't
used
know
to be
what
software you
seat,
could-
but you know it's like somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like there was a type of software which gave it, it made the screen shake a bit if you had aces or kings, or it set off like a rumbling sound when you got a really good, you know, like instead of just the warning you get, like, but if it was a really good hand, it made more of a noise, you know? Like you really want to pay attention here.
I feel like that kind of alert when you have a hand like that is probably like illegal to make, like, you know, all those like sounds and noises you get when you play these games, like fire off all the pleasure centers in your brain. And if that didn't happen enough already with aces, if you got like a big celebration every time, like just fireworks, I feel like that's just too far. We've got another 7-4 defend. Also,
I also just don't want to be hyped up anymore when I have aces, because then I'll feel even more entitled to win with them. And sometimes it doesn't happen.
Sometimes. A New Hope, 8-6 suited on the button pocket. Sevens for Tino Mulder. This feels like, all right. You know what? New Hope, totally unpredictable. I'm pretty bad at it in general, but I'm horrific at predicting what Pigface is doing. Just a limp here from sevens. Trying to
I think a New Hope just had a stack size. Yeah, I think a New Hope just had a stack size in a hand that was just a little too weak to maybe open with, because you don't really want to be potentially losing 2 blinds at a time when you have, 18, 17 big blinds. But with the Grafton hand, might have considered.
Obviously, 9-10 suited, you have to play in it. Once I'm commentating anyway, it's fully enforced. Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, normally you open like 50, 52% on the button or something, maybe a bit less with four-handed small ante, and now you have to drop that out and open more of a cutoff range. Saw the hand before Christoph folded an ace on the button, which normally he wouldn't be doing. And it's just the power of Tino's stack. Like, there's a gap between what you can raise and call off, but that can't be that bit. That's like you can't open as wide because you can't call off as wide, basically. Pat Brits get with a massive lock on the hand, improving to a full house. Be pleased about this.
Do you still get excited for rivering a full house in situations like this?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a really nice spot. Doesn't make as much sense as well because you're not going to be betting the jack on the turn very often. So making the full house is going to seem a little suspicious. Tino,
by the way, if you guys
go ahead, he's
Sammy.
just considering like a 10-6, 10 of diamonds, 6 of clubs, something like that would be the hand that you beat here. Using the full time bank here before folding.
Worth it. Did not pay it off. Don't adjust your screens, by the way, everybody. That is Sam's actual skin color. That's not a problem with the... Brazil's treating him well. I mean, I wouldn't want to embarrass you, but it would be hard to tell, I think, at this point.
I feel like I'm just excited for in a week when Sam comes back and it's turned into like a nice brown, bronzy color, you know?
Is that possible?
Optimistic from Maria. Because you've seen me walking around so often looking bronzed and tanned in my life.
I'm just waiting for you to take up capoeira and then just show up shredded.
Mate.
That Brazil sun just hits different, though. Could be the time.
Yeah. Just turn up like super muscly with loads of sick tattoos down my arms and just be, into the martial arts. Don't know that's really on the cards.
Although I did watch the stream the other day, Sam, and you were saying how you had a trainer down there and everything. So
gonna come back looking swole.
I'm sorry, I think you misunderstood. When Sam said he had a trainer, he means he has one sneaker that he uses to hop around indoors with. That's his trainer.
I mean, I went to work out 5 hours ago, and I stopped sweating about 15 minutes before I came on stream. It took me 4.5 hours to cool down. Yeah, it's just, I mean, mate, it's just absolutely pitiful.
I'm the same way. When I try to work out before we start the broadcast, and that's at 7:30 in the morning. We go live at 10:30, and I stop sweating around 10:15.
yeah, absolutely.
All right, so A New Hope
You're
picks up a
keeping
pot
on it,
there.
Joe. I feel like every time I've messaged you kind of early, you'll be like, I'm training. And I'm like, oh, good for you.
Well, sometimes I'm just playing with my toy train set. I just kind of use that term loosely.
I mean, this is
Ace-8
potentially
suited for Vogel saying. Yep.
Yeah. The suited aces are very strong in ICM settings. Normally, you kind of want a real low. Well, depends what Tino does here.
And Tino does, in fact, get involved.
Yeah, it depends whether Pabrik squeezes. Yeah, he may just jam. But if he squeezes, Vogelsang's going to at least give a... He does just jam, yeah. Makes sense with the ace-king off.
Pabrik picks up almost $1 million.
I was going to say, in LA, though, it's compulsory, right? There's some sort of law in effect. You know, they check on you. If you don't work out at least 4 times a week, they revoke your license, you know, or like drive you out of town or something, right? Like it's just...
It is an LA thing, and also it's a thing where, you know, when you are visible on the internet and can see every single thing people say about you in real time, it's also somewhat compulsory to work out 6 days a week. By the way, my only goal in working out is to be not fat, and I barely achieve that.
Sure.
Yeah, for me during quarantine, like, I mean, this whole pandemic, I have just worked out pretty much 6 days a week just so I can eat very poorly and drink a lot.
Yeah, same. All right, well, Tino tried to bet into top pair. Well, did bet into top pair. Didn't get the fold, oddly. And Christoph now time banking slightly, checking that top pair.
Yeah, this king high doesn't have great properties for barreling. We can see don't have a spade, which is nice. You know, against the backdoor flush floats. So Tino gives it up. Does outdraw a queen jack type hand. And you have to proceed very cautiously against the chip leader, but I think Christoph will go for small value here. Certainly a man that thinks through every spot very, very carefully. Feels like he should check. And you would
Before
imagine
every
Tino,
decision in a poker tournament, Christoph Vogelsang thinks about his entire life. That's the information that he just processes, not just from the hand or this tournament, his whole life.
Going deep. Deep, 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 man.
Raise and take it for Tino Mulder. Or as I like to call him, Horseface. Pabritz with Queen 10 now. Tino with Jack 5 suited, facing almost a min raise, slightly more than. 9-9 deuce, Queen high out in front.
Yeah, it surprises me Tino snap checks there. I think you can have a leading range as chip leader in these kind of spots. Maybe we're a little. A year from now, you're going to see people lead that kind of board. I think.
Did you say a year from now?
Yeah, a year from now, no one will be won't be snap checking there for sure. I don't think.
I like it. A year from now, when people are flying around and they're flying in their cars.
Yes, absolutely.
And taking tubes to work, we won't be snap checking that.
You'll have a 6-pack. I'll be flat on a hoverboard. I'll have tattoos and be doing capoeira. And people will be doing it at least. Oh, here we go. This is a bit out of line for Pabritz. Queen 8 off the randomizers. Yeah. He's hit 98 on the randomizer, and we're 3-betting Queen 8 off out of nowhere. Go on, Pabritz. There we go.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that I feel like not surprising to see come out of Pabritz.
Yeah.
Maria, I know that we probably can't talk that much about this on the air, but we're a minute away if you're not already in our little side venture.
Our little side venture.
Anyone else out there who might know what I'm talking about? Less than a minute.
Is Joe trying to get you involved in in a pyramid scheme or something like that, Maria? You have to be.
Yeah, basically, that's actually not far off.
It really isn't, and everyone knows that there's plenty of pyramid schemes to go around these days on the internet.
Oh yeah,
it would seem
a non-fungible pyramid.
Yeah, they just introduced WPT NFTs, right? On Theta.
Yeah, Maria, you've got one, right? But Maria's a common.
I know that's a little offensive, but listen, it's okay. I don't mind. I get why Darren Elias is legendary, clearly, and Mike Sexton, of course, rest in peace. So I'm only mildly offended.
What your NFT is not worth that much money? Sorry, yeah, you're right. Pabritz.
They haven't really assigned a price
none of the poker NFTs are worth money. Yeah. All right, we've got second pair here versus an up and down draw. Pretty much a flip statistically. And Pabritz picks up a lot more equity now with this heart draw. Still the best hand. And the 5 on the river is not going to change much.
If Tino bets twice pot here, he's an absolute legend. I think that's what you should do. Pabritz ain't got 9-7, and you do, and you check called like, no, mate. This does look believable as a jack, though, but I think Pabritz will pay here. 7-10, Queen 9, Queen 10. You unblock all of those. I think we'll see Pabritz pay here. I'll just go all in here with the 10-9. If I was playing good, I mean, I'm never at these finals, but if I was, I would.
And that
standing on the side
on the river evens things out a little bit.
Yeah, and it's
Maria, what number did you get?
This is good.
I actually couldn't join, so.
Oh no,
it's okay.
Yeah, and you see how
there was a
Tino
lot going on.
Has to play a bit more passively now, limping in with the Queen Jack. He's going to limp limp call, but it's quite annoying to give chips to Pabritz specifically. Playing on his left, it's gonna dampen his ability to raise the cutoff and steal and such like. It's a pretty unfortunate situation. Those are quite crucial, or might turn out to be quite crucial pots in the longer run. Pabritz chipping up to a similar stack.
Queen Jack in not terrible shape with some outs to beat Ace Jack. Doesn't hit again though, misses. Pabritz is going to win another showdown if we get there.
Tino pretty low. Obviously, you don't normally want to bluff like Queen High here, but actually the 8, Jack 8, and Queen 8, things like that will bluff the turn at a pretty high frequency. And Pabritz's hand does look like exactly what it is, actually. It does look like an Ace Jack High, or maybe occasionally a 3, or 3 or 4 that just checks. And so this is very astute from Tino, recognizing where he is in his range, what his opponent's likely holding is, and bluffing, you know, a quite strong pre-flop holding on the river, realizing how low it in his range is, and gets it done. And that's the strength of Tino. Great poker mind, as we know.
I was hoping Pabritz would make the hero call there, because I kind of didn't give him enough credit for the hero call on the previous hand with third pair. But Tino gets a little bit back, and blinds have gone up. Now 80,000, 160,000.
Yeah, and A New Hope really has been hanging on, hasn't been able to get a lot going, but just enough to keep them in the game, just enough to still maintain fold equity. Just hoping for maybe a string of a couple of pots to really get them in contention here. But up against 3 incredibly tough and highly skilled players.
King Jack suited facing an under the gun raise from 10-9 suited. Gets the 3-bet out there. It makes it real big. Gets that pot pre-flop. Pabritz raising small to big. Christoph with ace tray. Not really a folding hand.
Yeah, I mean, under 30 bigs effective for Christoph. Obviously, in a situation where you're just playing for chips, you know that this is a good spot to try to 3-bet, and he does do that. Sometimes you'll see some players want to shy away from putting more chips into the pot and maybe just flatting in position with those weak ace-X's, but Christoph not really a man who fears much, I think.
Christoph limping in with Jack 10. Ace 4 for the New Hope. Checks it. And Jack 10 flops what you are hoping with Jack 10, an open ender. Ace 4 is still winning, but not the statistical favorite. Is the New Hope going to build this pot? Nope. Checks it, but someone finally makes a straight. And that someone is Christoph Vogelsang. Just a 3/4 pot bet.
Yeah, and in a limped pot, I think that this is just such a bad board for A New Hope.
King deuce on the button for Vogel, saying ace jack in the small. I want to say that Avatar is from Attack on Titan, but I'm not really sure. I'm not much in the anime. There is the re-raise, not an all-in, does get the fold. Been pretty fortunate to have shovable hands or committing hands in spots where no one could really call.
Yeah, and as I had mentioned, when you're playing against such high-level opponents, you're actually more inclined to play pre.
Yeah. We are a little something here for our Demon Slayer avatar. Thanks, chat. Uh-oh. Tino Mulder not going to be able to push around the pocket rockets.
I hope he calls here. It'd be great. Obviously, being
Never.
results-oriented. Come on. This is Tino Mulder. Obviously, he hasn't got a hand. Oh, no.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, mate.
Way too giddy to get it in there. Giddy it in.
Giddy.
Giddy up. Let's go. Clearly, if you re-raise me, you've got ace queen. Suited.
Yeah, and these stacks converging. Everyone, since I joined anyway, everyone get Tino chipped down a bit. Everyone else got a little closer.
And Tino attacking this limp from A New Hope. Seems like the play.
Yeah, it's so tough playing against the covering stack on a final. You feel like you're getting messed with all the time. It's so hard with suited hands to just have to limp fold.
Guys, I know this is a rare occurrence, but I would like us to address this question somewhat seriously. Viet asks, top players are so hard for me to understand. Why does the pig face guy not just call? Can we explain some of the good reasons why that pig face may not have called there?
Not called with what? With Jack 4 suited?
With the aces. I believe in the aces hand. Why wouldn't they just call with aces?
Yeah. I mean, I do think that you probably should call, but yeah, you just want a cooler ace king. You're just hoping to get it in really good and not have to play against a tough player out of position who's gonna, could check back the correct boards and he's not going to be deceived. He's not just going to blast off when you call. Sometimes you flop an ace and you don't stack queens, or whatever it might be. Sometimes you get outdrawn and it's just easier in a big moment. You can't make a mistake going all in with aces. So I think when you're a little bit newer to a big spot, and I don't think it's a huge mistake at all to just keep things simple when you're a bit overwhelmed by the situation and by your opponents.
I think if you are new to the game. Yep, go ahead, Maria.
I was just saying, if you don't think Tino has very many 3-bet bluffs there, then sure, like trying to get max value pre against a good hand and like Sam mentioned, against a cooler type situation is fine. But of course, knowing that it is somebody like Tino who very likely as the chip leader is going to have quite a few light 3-bets there, then you really want and hope to see flats with obviously the strongest starting hand.
And if I could take a third crack at this, when you get it all in pre-flop with the aces, you have the nuts. You cannot be up against a better hand. it is very unlikely that after the flop hits that you will still have the nuts. So it becomes more difficult to play. And obviously, there are plenty of players that are happy to play in those situations and don't need to have the nuts in order to feel comfortable. But for some folks, especially someone who may have satellited into this event, as we know A New Hope did, to not have to make that decision later on as to whether or not aces are still good on a Jack 7-8 flop, it is just something that, takes the risk and the pressure out of the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I don't blame them at all for doing it. I think
nice little flop here.
Wow, look at
Go
this.
on, homie.
No, I mean, I was going to say is one thing I think solvers have taught us is that in general aces, not to be all nerdy about it, but in general aces don't go all in if they can do something else. They always call or they click it. They never really shove. But
you mean that's what you're supposed to do mathematically, optimally, is all in is not a good option. I assume it's better than folding.
It's better than folding, slightly.
Okay.
We did the maths on it. Volgasang did the maths, and we worked it out. Oh my days!
Oh man,
dear Pabritz.
What a stupid run out here. Oh, me. My goodness. This is a run out I am all too familiar with.
Oh dear. Go on, bluff him now. Bluff him off it, Volgasang. Go on, mate. You've got the tens, mate, not him. Let's go, all in. He ain't going to check eights either. He ain't got it in his locker, mate. All in. Come on, Christoph. Come on, mate. I know. Come on, bruv.
This is such a stupid run out. Can we just pause this and just chop the pot? There it is.
Half pot.
Little half pot bet.
So annoying to have to check call for half the pot. And actually, this sizing does give Pabritz a tough time. I think he will call here.
Doesn't call, shoves. Did not see that coming. This is one way to just be like, guess what? I'm so furious at this run out here. Suck on this.
I mean, yeah, I agree with Sam. I don't think Pabritz has many tens here, but just clearly doesn't seem to want to give up on the pot.
Wow.
Gets the fold from Vogelsang and takes the chip lead.
Wow.
Folds him off a chop. Did not want to hear the three of us attempt to sing. Wow, snap fold there from Queen Jack, obviously. Disappointing to not get to see a flop. And Ace 5 folds as well. Pabritz with Ace 8.
And maybe a
New Hope out.
Rare misstep there from Christoph, perhaps. I don't know how that hand is exactly supposed to play on the river, but it certainly seems to be a bit of a problem to reopen the betting and then be forced to fold there when you're entitled to half the pot. I don't know. Christoph, obviously, such a sharp poker mind. Perhaps he has it. But, results-wise, bit of a disaster for Christoph there.
Sure,
to
definitely.
have that incredibly fortuitous run out and then still not claim back half the pot. Very unfortunate. And now the boy from LSE is the short stack.
And a strange domination situation there pre-flop, which goes Pabritz's way. Tino with 8-5 off.
Yeah, Pabritz is flying right now. Over this last hour, card distribution and the way situations have played out, everything's gone his way. And
winning chips from the right and the left.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And obviously, A New Hope is just sitting there thinking, wow, could I really ladder one more spot after being able to fade elimination from several spots ago?
Yeah, I mean, these are big pay jumps, by the way. $40,000, $35,000 is a lot of money. This broadcast always biased towards the qualifiers, so we can root for A New Hope 13 unashamedly.
These guys have enough money. I mean, for all we know, A New Hope 13 might be some, Russian oligarch, but they're new to this. What a flop here. Top pair for both players. The nut flush draw to go with it for Tu and Mulder. Certainly going to get at least one street out of this. Man, how good does it feel to have a board locked up this hard? Dominating, flush draw, turning it.
Go. Yeah, and it's a little bit weird when you've got the flush and the ace. And so for that reason, Tino checks. Normally you're going to try and extract value from when your opponent has an ace. In this case, having both of them is a bit unfortunate. Hoping Brits would turn a queen jack or queen 10 with a diamond into a bluff. But now Tino will go for value, you would imagine. Goes for the small sizing. Again, just because blocking the rivered 2 pair and the top pair, I think that is nice. Obviously, against Britz's hand, you could perhaps have got a little bit more, but I think that's smart play as we'd expect from Tino.
Yeah, it's as much as Tino can hope for that Brits actually ended up with top pair in their hand when you just cover the board so much.
Yeah.
That's because blockers are very real.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure Mike Matusow said that they weren't, and I feel like everything Mike Matusow says has
I'm agreeing
to
with Mike
true,
Matusow now. I have to rethink everything.
Oh, you never saw that tweet?
Am I saying this? Am I saying the same thing that Mike Matusow is saying? Oh goodness, no. Oh man.
He was very definitively
saying
that blockers
Jeepers.
are not
I also
real.
believe in the moon landings, guys. I hate to be controversial. Two small stacks in the blinds. King high versus 3 high. Oh, free flop. Look at that. Huh? Well, free flop. Ace, 8, tray, 2 clubs. Pair of 3s. Seems like the kind of board Christoph would bet anyway, though, right? The king of clubs? Nope, just checks it.
Here you go. Third pair, no kicker on a final with Christoph. Not an easy hand to navigate. It's like, what does a check mean? Is that good? Does that mean I've got? Why didn't he bet? Like, it's quite difficult. So Christoph just aware he's going to bluff many hands on this board. So it feels like king high is a little too strong to be bluffing. You know, in general, A New Hope can't even protect a 3 or 8 very easily on a board that's so good for Christopher. So he gets to realize all his equity. And now, again, similar to Tino, where Queen Jack was very strong at certain points. On the river, is this a hand you want to bluff, or are you going to just check down, hope to beat 5-6, 7-5, and the like? Does check. And
heyo, ship it. Always nice and surprising when you win those pocket 6s for Brits. Raise and take it. 8-10 for Vogelsang. Out. Jack 5 suited.
Each time it falls around to A New Hope, you see him thinking, should I? Oh, Jack 5, it's kind of okay.
Yeah.
Like just seeing these two behind him. It's like, all right.
Sometimes it's about resisting that temptation every single hand, waging that same war with yourself. Like, no, just, hey, we've laddered up an insane amount today. Just keep it up. Don't do anything stupid.
Yeah. And it makes sense
you're not
because
gonna
if Christoph were to bust, now that's a real free roll spot as the shortest stack. You can begin to play closer to chips again and, you know, mix it up and gamble a little bit more. A New Hope 13, certainly hoping there's a collision involving Mr.
Anyone.
2607 9885. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit much to think that. Go ahead, Maria.
I was just going to say, and it's not surprising that, you know, in a 5K buy-in scoop event, you're not going to find any soft spots in the blinds for you to take advantage of some light opens anyways.
No. All that's missing is the constant request for a deal.
We don't see that too often anymore, right? I feel like I've never.
I don't remember when it was, but someone recently had like satellited in and asked for a deal like 7 or 8 times over the course of the final table, and it was hilarious.
Can't blame them for trying. You know, just keep maximizing that ROI from satelliting in.
And Christoph, not a lot they can do here. Does defend and flops okay, I guess. 1 spade, a gut shot. I guess probably better than flopping a top pair with an 8. Thank you, Max Mirage. It was the big Sunday million that Vanessa Cade won. One of the final tablers there kept asking for a deal. And then when it went heads up with Vanessa and she was winning like 8-1, he was like, deal?
Oh, they ended up getting second. Good job they didn't get a deal.
Yeah. 8-4 spades here picks up a whole bunch more outs.
Yeah.
Still drawing.
And I wonder how.
Kind of thin.
Yeah, but Brit's recognizing the strength of Jacks here. And not giving, well, Christoph a free card. And Christoph, weird card. Very hard to shove. But maybe you just want to prevent yourself getting bluffed. You know you have equity. You know you have outs. And sometimes you just get a fold from Prabritz's Jack 9 or something like that. I think, but on the other hand, yeah, it does call. On the other hand, it's
total whiff.
Can you represent an ace? And yeah, that is a brick on the river.
Is that at all a scary card for Jacks? You don't expect Christoph to somehow have a 6 here?
Yeah, so Pabritz, the draw's missed. He doesn't beat a queen. He doesn't beat an ace. He doesn't beat a 6 now. And SBR of 0.5, Christoph Vogelsang, 8 high. Does he put it in on this river? And will Pabritz call with the Jacks if he does? Jacks, no diamond, no spade, notably. Does give up.
Just to check back. Time for this tournament to go on break, but it's Scoop, my babies, which means there's lots and lots of other things happening, including the 1K No Limit Hold'em 6 Max, which does involve your friend and mine right there, left side of the screen, doing something there that probably can't be named. Lex Veldhaus. Gonna check out some action from this event while our main event for today goes on break. And check out the other names at this table. Gorodsky, Krakukra, Tim Zero Thee. What a lineup. 30 players left in this event. I'm glad. I honestly thought Lex would be out of this by now, so good for him.
Yeah, we saw Lex earlier, unfortunately, be up against aces when they shoved, right? Okay, was that the other tournament? He did get knocked out. This is his double day 2 that we're talking about now.
And this might be a little bittersweet for Lex as well. Padilla, SP is Pedro Padilla, the player who beat Lex heads up on Saturday. Here they are again. Deep in a tournament. The open-ender calls.
Padilla might think about a check raise here. He's the player with aces, kings. See, ace, queen. Try and take Timothy off a hand exactly like he has. Sometimes get it in against king jack of clubs, king 10 of clubs.
Sam, I know the player with the aces and the kings check raises there a lot. I don't see the player who actually has aces and kings check raise there very often. Is that just me not paying attention enough, or is that real?
Yeah, well, I mean, ace 4 of clubs is still a very, very strong hand there, right? Like, you know, it was
like I can't remember the last time I saw someone check raise a flop with an actual value hand.
Maybe.
I can confirm that I have had aces or kings in that spot. You know, multi-way over pair, you definitely want to punish people.
Yeah, sure. I mean, even let's say you check top set of queens there, right? Now you're worried that someone's got a straight draw, someone's got a flush draw that you want to protect a little bit. You know, you might have just check called Timothy, but with another player involved, now you decide to check raise your set or whatever. I don't know, mate. I'm going to just start jamming on them. I'm going to lose some money. I'll be like, Joe Stapleton says they never have anything here. I'm all in with the 8s on queen 6-3. I don't believe you. So, wow.
Oh, boy. Lex. Lex may be stepping off the cliff here. It looks like he's going to be in big trouble. What do you do with jacks now? I guess you get out of the way, huh?
I think it's a little too strong.
No. Yikes. So Lex has got a lot to fade here, including the set of jacks. Queen? No queen. If it's any consolation, he would have lost to both other hands. There goes Lex Veldhuis out in 30th for $4,621.
I'm just going to text him your consolation. I'm going to text Lex. I'm going to be like, Joe says you would have lost the ace queen anyway, so take some comfort in that. Mate,
yeah,
just getting in the brag.
Wasn't the right word.
I've got Lex's phone number in my. I've got Lex's number in my phone now. This is how big time we're getting. It's unbelievable.
All right, well, we had to say goodbye to Lex Veldhuis. We're also going to say goodbye to Maria Ho. Thanks so much for your work today, Maria. And
bye, guys. Have fun.
And we are going to welcome back the captain of this ship, the voice of PokerStars, James Hardigan.
Well, let's not stop now, Joe. I want to hear who else's number Sam has in his phone. Now he's so bloody important. As we come back to the final table of event 33, Christoph Vogelsang is running on vapor. He is very much in the danger zone.
Danger zone!
And it is Pablo Brito Pabritz who's the chip leader with 12 million. I was actually thinking, Mr. Grafton, oh my God, what have we created? You're on the front page of the blog. They're tweeting montages with multiple pictures of your face.
Yeah, they still use Timothy. They still had to use a big name to get the clicks, like putting Limitless and Tim in. I'm surprised they used pictures of me and didn't whip up one's out with Tim Adams' amazing hairline. So Pabritz now just going to put these guys to the test. Such a great situation to be in when you have the massive stack. Yeah, I'm in a group chat now with all the Stars Pros, and every day it's just like, congrats to Lex. He finaled this. He won this. He had 50,000 concurrent viewers, and there's just nothing about me. It's like Sam Grafton has not won a single dime. I'm lucky. Yeah, I'm lucky Spraggy's in the chat as well. Otherwise, I'd feel like a real failure.
I mean, how left out are you going to feel when they start talking about how to copy the transform of elements within scenes and OBS? That's one thing you know, Sam, that they're on a different level.
Yeah. So Tino just going to limp call the ace queen here. So important not to get coolered by Pabrits.
There's a little fold here from A New Hope. Did not get involved with King Jack. Would have flopped best.
And the 10 deuce gets stronger.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw earlier on, Sam, but Lena 900, Nicholas Avstedt, has actually changed his avatar to the Brazilian flag.
Right. Yeah. I did see that.
Trying to channel the fact that we have had nearly 20 Brazilian champions during Scoop. It is the country to be from right now.
Hasn't he had that old avatar for a really long time, too?
Well, he had the glass of wine, and then he changed it to an Uno deck, and now he's changed it to the Brazilian flag.
Right. Okay, so the Uno deck was relatively new. All right.
Yeah.
And this is quite...
This is like all the...
Creates... I mean, it's quite outlandish bluff here from Tino on the turn. Obviously did have some outs against the 10 deuce. Does he follow through now?
Yeah.
And this is really remarkable from Tino. You wouldn't see this line with this hand from many players, and he might well get this done.
Well, I tell you what, Sam, we've had a few hero fails today. I would have given that the hero call, but instead it's the fold, and they are pretty much even in chips now, 10 million apiece. Meanwhile, A New Hope playing 3.6 million. And Christoph Vogelsang super short right now, but Brit's putting the pressure on small to big.
Yeah, Brit's probably going to just jam. Yeah, it makes sense. New Hope has to call so tight in the situation. Just taking the play away from his opponents with the jam.
Well, this is an opportunity now for Vogelsang. The open from Pablo Brito with Queen 10. Ace Jack for Christoph.
Good luck, Bun Bun.
Oh, wow. We didn't all go in pre. It's going in now. Ace Jack's good. Still good. And that is a double up for Christoph Vogelsang, 1.5 million. Still a sub 10 big blind stack, though.
Yeah, very disappointing for A New Hope, of course, as well, who would gain that third place money and be a lot freer to get involved.
And
Brits can probably shove this, probably shove any suited hand here. And this is going to be very close for Christoph against a very, very wide range. As shortest stack, you can play a lot closer to chips.
Oh, King 3-9. And that is going to be another double up for Vogelsang, who now picks up queens. I mean, you said the last hand was bad news for A New Hope, Sam. Now, Christoph's drawn almost level with them.
Yeah, and A New Hope going to have to play again. You know, was rightly, I think, playing very conservatively with Christoph so short. And of course, Christoph has been all in twice, which is what you want to happen. Like, you play tight so that they're all in. They might get it in ahead, but they're going to bust 30% of the time or 40% of the time. Now, A New Hope has to come out of their shell a little bit.
Yeah.
But not this.
I mean, I think the small pairs, you kind of unblock the opens, which is quite nice. This is perhaps a better shove than eights, to be honest. And Brits with a hand that's right on the cusp.
Can you explain that? Why it's a better shove than eights?
Well, I don't think Brits calls fours, fives, sixes. Like, I mean, it depends if they call off sevens, eights, but they're opening queen eight. They're opening jack eight. They're not opening anything with a 3 in it, right? So you unblock 8-9, 8-10, jack 9, 10-8, all of those hands that automatically fold. So in some instances, I'm not saying this is exactly the principle there. Some spots you flat 9s, 10s, 8s, and you shove deuces, 3s, and 4s, for instance. That might be the case. So Brits leading. This is what I was talking about. A New Hope doesn't open any 5x really, except for ace 5 exclusively. So Brits can have something of a leading range as the big stack on 5-5-3. I think that's quite nice from them to pick that up. And now does New Hope turn the jack 9 into a bluff? Certainly not worth much in the check line. Very low in your range. Checks back and gets there.
A pair of 9s. How comfortable / confident are you feeling in this spot, though, Sam, with a pair of 9s?
Well, Brits might bet 10% pot or something like that to try and get called by ace queen high. So now you just pay this. So this is quite common. Maybe even a little bit big. Maybe one big blind is the play. But yeah, you know, I think a New Hope will. Well, maybe they're thinking about raising, but I think that might be a bit much. I think you should realize you beat the hand they're representing, basically.
Blinds are up 100,000, 200,000. Focal sang once again the shortest stack at this four-handed final table. Tino Mulder, chip leader right now. And it's the Snowman's for Brits.
No, you fold these. I'm listening to Sam. You do not
cool.
Play pocket eights.
I mean, I heard that as well. And I hope you wrote it down on one of your. I hope you wrote it down on one of your post-it notes, Joe.
Three's better than eights. Sorry, yeah, I need that. No. Three's better than
absolutely.
3 greater than 8-8. Yeah, sorry, I need that. 3 greater than 8-8. Okay.
Yeah, and Tino, recognizing Brits quite a condensed range. Can't go firing off too much on this board.
I understand Sam's logic with that, but I do think it would be hilarious if he decided he was going to use his platform here just to get people to play bad. Like, just to get like 2 or 3 people who start thinking that like shoving 3s is acceptable in every spot, and he's just going to cash in on all the misinformation he puts out in commentary.
Always very important to take every single strategic line completely out of context and apply it to any time you have those specific cards.
I mean, by the way,
said flat with aces.
I've done that so many times myself. Just you think you understand something and then you misapply it. Like, of course, that happens. Both players with a flush draw.
Oh.
But blockers, it won't come in.
Could be onto something, Joe.
Mm-hmm. It's impossible.
This is quite nice from a New Hope. This is one of those spots where I think if you bet, Tino just raises you, and if you don't hit, you always lose the hand. Goes for the overbet on the turn.
Wow.
Representing a 4. Occasionally,
never betting this much with a 4.
Yeah, and this is quite a good card for a New Hope because Tino's sizing rules out the 7.
Oh, we're so happy.
Yeah, really
Interesting comment from Siam Square 7. Sam eats for breakfast kidneys. I'm not sure if that's accurate. Sam, to use the time-honored question asked by sound operators around the world, tell us what you had for breakfast this morning.
Is that like a Silence of the Lambs reference? I'll eat my kidneys with some nice glass of Chianti and some fava beans.
I think you'll find it was his liver.
Oh, his liver. I had scrambled eggs. I had the double breakfast. We were quite short of things, so I had scrambled eggs and toast, and I had a bowl of Frosties for a little dessert, basically.
Breakfast dessert. Breakfast dessert. I love it.
The double breakfast.
Hey, how many breakfasts do you have today? How many breakfasts do you have
definitely in lockdown, there was times where I ate 3 breakfasts. Like I had like avocado and scrambled eggs, probably like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You know, I feel like eating breakfast in the middle of the night is one of the best meals that you can have.
It's like when you have a healthy breakfast, it almost doesn't count, right? Like if you have the avocado and scrambled eggs, like that's not even real. It's like nothing. It's just not even. It's healthy.
That's a
so it doesn't even
starter.
count. If you want to have a second breakfast, you can. Right. It's all protein and good fat.
And quite remarkably, A New Hope 13 is approaching Pabritz's stack. I'm not quite sure how this has happened, but just a few pots going their way. That big overbet on the turn. Actually, that was a lot of money changing hands in New Hope 13's favor, getting the shove through with the pocket threes. And see, yeah, you're right. So Tino represented the 4 by betting 700 into 500K. When he actually had the 4, he bet 500, Joe. So you were exactly right, mate. You should be on there. You should be in the streets.
I mean,
soul reading these guys.
It's easy when you can see the whole cards. It's really incredible how much poker I've watched in my life and how little has sunk in. Like, I should be the best player in the world. I should be like one of the all-time greats, but nope, just.
But we've already
bounces right
established, Joe, it's because you're trying to take the strategies that you're learning at the highest level and apply them to your weekly home games. Whereas if you had the bankroll to play 5Ks and 10Ks online, you'd be crushing. You would be owning Focal Sang every day of the week and twice on Mondays.
I mean, it's weird that you think that. I mean, obviously, I think that, but it's crazy that you also think that.
I mean, it's obvious to me.
So,
it seems that you know, I mean, maybe if we can all club together with our channel points and maybe somehow raise a buy-in for Joe to play a high roller during Scoop. There's a 25K starting tomorrow, just saying.
Look, my performance in big buy-in events speaks for itself. I do quite well, to be perfectly honest.
Do you think you could get funny by watching funny people? Think if I watched comedies round, we'll just pause here where I New Hope, because for Brits,
yeah, we got some poker
suited ace. Yeah, just I want to delve further into Joe Staples' mind. Tino loves to play.
Why would you want to do
goes
that?
for it again. Jack 9, and Brits is now thinking about it with the ace 2 suited here. Right, this is a spot we've seen Tino take before. This is a spot where Brits could have scooped up the money. I would have loved that. What will A New Hope do?
You think nines fold?
I would love to see a jam, but I mean, he's not 3-bet calling 8s, right? So this is a spot where it's Tino,
man.
Wow.
I like how mad Sam sounded. Like he does. Like he should be embarrassed to have hit the flop this
It's
hard.
so dirty. So dirty.
Yes.
I don't know. Nines could hold. I mean, granted, no, they don't.
Come on.
There you go. There you go. I mean,
You
I
just
think
knew
this
it was
is
coming on
smart
the stand.
This was quite smart play from A New Hope. This is exactly what I was talking about, but where if you shove 9s, you don't get called by 8s. You might as well shove deuces, right? in this instance as shove nines because the strength of the pocket pair doesn't really mean anything. So now probing, drawing only to a chop, hoping Tino has a hand like ace 3 or ace 5, slightly ahead of ace king.
Please, please don't bet again on the river.
Yeah, the probe is going to turn into something else. Something bigger.
Well, you block Jack 9, just go all in. Represent Jack 9. Yeah, this
Joe, don't write that one down. He was joking.
I'm sad that we were denied the straight flush there on the river.
I agree. It was a monster draw on the flop. And now the overbet from Tino, enough to put a New Hope all in. And this is one time I don't want to play the hero fail meme. A New Hope, just let it go.
I mean, the thing
New
is,
Hope has erred on the side of tightness when given the opportunity, and once again does release.
So Sam, I'm not going to let you forget, you were asking Joe questions about watching comedy and that making you funnier.
Yeah, does that make you think, like, if someone watched a load of comedy shows, they would get funny? They would get funnier?
Well, it depends. Do they want to get funny?
Like, I watch a poker final with a poker player's eye, trying to extract things, and if you watch a comic film or like a stand-up comedy special, are you unpackaging and unpicking the structure of the jokes and the comedic timing, and or is it
Absolutely
more? Yeah.
Do you watch that
There's
Fox
certainly
News show,
like,
Joe, marveling at the genius of it?
Gutfeld?
Do you
I've
just
seen every episode.
Do you just imbibe it by being around funny people and watching funny content, or do you feel like you can sort of analyze it?
I mean, it's both, right? Like, obviously, it's probably very similar to poker, where obviously, if you don't analyze it, something should still get in, but analyzing it does help. It does, it's studying like anything else. But again, it's approaching the consumption of it differently, the same way with poker, right? Like, you don't approach watching a final table as a spectator. You approach it as someone that is dissecting it, someone that is performing an autopsy on what you're watching, and you receive it differently than someone who's just there with a bucket of popcorn wanting to take in a show.
Yeah, autopsy is a good word there for when I saw your stand-up comedy show. It was a bit of an autopsy.
Dead on arrival.
Dead on arrival. Yeah, like on the slab. Pabritz with a loose float here with the Jack 10. And Tino probably can't resist betting here. Yeah.
And now up to over 14 million. And you look at all the other stacks, it's Tino and the shorties.
Yeah, aggression really paid off for Tino. See, that Jack 9 suited could have, was absolutely dominated by the nines, but that was a very big pot that went Tino's way. And Pabritz, I can't quite remember how the hands went down, but been pulled right back into the pack.
Yeah.
Obviously, we saw a semi, dare I say, a semi, wow, this is a little bit loose, semi blow up from Pabritz as the chip leader last time we saw him four-handed, where he exited in fourth again in the title. Limitless took down against C. Darwin, and Christoph was there as well, finished fourth. And maybe something similar could be on the cards here, losing momentum.
Rax is right. Tino and the Shorties sounds like a 60s band.
The kind they would let on television.
before they started experimenting with drugs in the late 1960s and did a psychedelic album in 1968. I don't imagine this hand's going to go any further. Nope. King 5 on the button for Christoph Vogelsang, hovering around the 11 big blind mark right now.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I don't know whether it's shove or min raise.
Oh,
min raise, I
just
guess.
the min raise.
Makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Min raise, call it off. Like, what do you do if you get shoved on?
A fold for sure. You're just playing a very
Fold,
tight,
okay.
you know, yeah, you're playing like 28% of hands, 25% of hands, and this is just right towards the bottom. But you build it, you build the raising range, you fold something like 8-6 suited, 8-7 suited, and build it around suited aces, suited kings.
I see.
Sort of blocking the rejams, right, is what you want to do when you're the short stack. You just want to pick hands where you don't get shoved on, or where you can flop a dominating flush draw post flop. I think that's the mechanic in that spot.
A New Hope with ace king on the button opens to 1.9, a committing raise. Stays alive. Ace jack under the gun for New Hope.
He's going to get 3-bet and lose the hand again. Here we go. Tino resisting for once.
Yeah, instead it's Vogelsang, the short stack with 4-3 of hearts, who defends. And it is a 9-6-4 flop. So Christoph, 4-1 favorite after the flop.
Yeah, a lot of money out there. Million chips in either direction would be a big swing here. Pulling Christoph level with a New Hope if he wins the hand.
Ooh.
And that's a great turn card for a New Hope 13.
Vogelsang checks the turn. And New
Yeah,
Hope now
bet a million.
top and near enough 9-1 favorite.
Yeah, I hope he does, but small. I guess there's a lot of draws out there. It makes some sense. And it's going to be a little confusing to Christoph. I think a player type of like a New Hope 13 isn't going to check back aces or kings on the flop at that much of a frequency. So really representing just a jack. And for that reason, Christoph does call.
Well, we've now got 2.4 million in the middle. Vogelsang with 1.8 million behind. Checks it, and is a New Hope going to put Vogelsang to the test here?
I wouldn't blame them if they check back here. It's a little bit of a scary river. Not too many combos, because it shouldn't be too much 7-5 on the turn. But there's a lot of money out there just to, I don't know. Does go for it.
Goes for it.
Smart.
Wow.
And
Nice-
it is
nice
all
play
into call. And we can see that if Vogelsang makes this call with just a pair of fours, it would be, and we have seen quite a few of them today, a bad hero call, an incorrect hero call, and it would see Vogelsang eliminated in fourth.
Yeah, and he's thinking, can he go for thin value with ace-jack here? Would he check back aces? No. Would he value bet kings on this river? Probably not. Okay, so that's what's going through Christoph's mind. He does make the hero call.
And that will see Christoph Vogelsang eliminated in fourth place. Does cash for $109,000, and a New Hope is now second in chips, up over 7 million as we go three-way.
Can we just talk for a second about how sometimes every once in a while that a player who is kind of new on the scene can really get in the head of the GTO players, the players who are like really, really great against playing against other GTO players. And people, you know, people say what you will about, let's say, someone like Phil Hellmuth's game, which is far from GTO, but sort of excels in situations where a satellite winner fires into them and makes those folds in other spots where, you know, Christoph's going to be right with a certain frequency against a certain type of player. I just don't know about this particular player.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know about the Phil Hellmuth example, but yeah, I know what you're saying. But we should say, wow, and flats again, a New Hope 13 going to the streets against Tino, and holds against the King 9. This King of Diamonds is going to feel reasonably powerful for Tino. But doesn't see bet. Really interesting. Feels like a New Hope is a bit too strong. King Queens, Ace Queen maybe, Queen Jack. Oh my days.
Gets there. How good is Tino running against a New Hope?
Yeah, but I mean, a New Hope gave him the free card, so it's just one of those. And yeah, a New Hope, kind of like the Pocket 9 situation, is going to feel like a certain amount of money has to go in. Eight of Hearts on the river one time.
Cards out there now.
Yeah. Also, I mean, are you going to be allowed to show this hand down when Tino has King Jack or King 10? Yeah, that's understandable. I was going to say, though, one thing I would give, and it complements your point. You're exactly right, Joe. Credit, though, to a New Hope 13 in this big spot as a satellite winner on this huge final table against one of the most accomplished players in the world. I didn't know if he was going to go for that thinnish value there with just one pair on a quite dynamic, sort of scary river card. Put the money in with Ace Jack and gives Christoph the chance to make a hero call against him. If you just check back, I mean, and just scoop up the 2.8 million, which is going to feel really, psychologically, is just going to feel nice, right? You know, to win a chunky pot and stay afloat. He put the value bet in, you know, assessed that his hand was good often enough and forced Christoph to, you know, arguably make a mistake. So really, really nice play from the New Hope 13 and gains, you know, for their troubles, a huge pay jump. So, you know, congrats to them.
For sure.
Officer Judy says, how much did he satellite in for? I mean, this is the weird thing, right? It was a high roller satellite for a high roller. It was a $530 buy-in satellite. But even so, a great return on investment because they're now guaranteed more than 143K.
Yeah, this was a nice buy-in. The 5K seemed like a really, really good tournament. Million guarantee 5K. It was a nice tournament, I think, to try and sneak into if you can.
Yeah, and with a total of
5K.
257 entries exceeded that guarantee. Actual prize pool in this event of 1,285,000. And still a lot of money left to play for. You can see the payouts for first, second, and third on screen.
I mean, it just feels, obviously there's a big numerical difference between first and second place, but there's a huge just mental and emotional difference between 188,000 and $250,000.
Yeah.
New Hope catching another good turn here.
Yeah, I know Tino's been craving a big title. You know, he's not had much success over the last 12 months. Finally, Tino Mulder getting the big score he deserves.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Tino won his first scoop last year. Pablo Brito has 2 scoops already, so a New Hope is the player hoping to become the first, get their first win in this event. Everyone else will be multiple title time.
Again, New Hope value bet and maybe get another hero call.
Does, wow.
come on, he only called third pot on the river. That was a bit of a... Remove the buttons from Hartigan. Overuse of the... You know, come on, mate. He's calling a block bet.
Hero thin value.
I mean, really. OTT. Come on. So Tino bashing up these guys. And Pabritz is the short stack now. Was chip leader not too long ago. And it's
hey, Sam, it turns out that...
Go ahead, Joe.
Sam, I'm so sorry, but it turns out that Tino Mulder shipped a blowout tournament. So it looks like you were wrong about Tino not having a very good year. So
yeah,
Ash Winnie, thank you for your comment. You're banned for now. Thank you for not understanding sarcasm. Have a nice little timeout.
So I think with a suited hand, this may be a bit too strong to try and... Yeah, does go for it, and he's going to get punished. Yeah, 6 deuce is part of a polarized range, perhaps some of the time. Let's go, A New Hope. Put this in, bruv. There we go. Have some of that, Tino. It's kind of as you were for A New Hope, right? Pabritz here with the queens. And if A New Hope 13 folds here, Tino is going to be very likely shoving 6-8 suited. It'd be great for them if they did fold this. No.
Yes, does.
And certainly this makes
Tino shoves.
A shove.
Pabritz
Merry
calls
Christmas.
all in.
Oh no!
Wow, what a flop for Tino! Oh, the queen! Wow, drama. That is a double up for Pabritz. That's the great thing. You hit your set on the turn. It's like, but my opponent still has a straight draw.
I would just love for A New Hope to write in the chat box, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, so these guys pull level, and obviously it's also great for Pabritz because Tino, you know, obviously it's much more costly. He doubled up Pabritz and remained held on to the chip lead. Here, you know, if he doubles up Pabritz, he goes to the extreme short stack. So has to be a lot more careful, a lot less opportunities to be ultra aggressive. So that's a very meaningful pot in terms of where this high roller title is headed.
Queen 4 against 6-5. Queen high, still the best hand on an ace-king deuce flop. Mulder continues. Goodbye. Ace-king. Raises to 400,000. Pabritz, six.
Why are you saying
off?
Because then this guy is going to get this. He's 37%.
Oh, wow.
3, 4, 5, 6 in top pair.
Yeah. Top against the straight draw.
Pessimist Stapleton, here he is. What do you hope to be against when they've got ace king? You don't want your opponent to have anything. What, you want them to have
Continues.
2 Uno cards or what?
Ace queen or fold. That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
and so
check raising with the straight draw.
Yeah, and the downside to this is you can get shoved on and blown off your equity. And I wonder if that's what A New Hope will do. Does seem
That's what
like
I
there's
do,
not
but
many
that doesn't
draws.
necessarily mean it's right. Oh no! Oh no! Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi! A New Hope is now drawing dead.
A new hump.
Yeah, you hate to see it.
And Pabritz
I don't want to
continues
say
the aggression.
Right.
Having semi-bluffed the flop, Pabritz barrels the turn for value, 900K into 2.7 million. Board pairs on the river, and But Brits could put a New Hope in a really tough spot here, Sam.
I mean, it's not tough. A New Hope isn't folding.
No.
But
Yeah, this is like not a tough spot. This is just you're going broke here every single time.
yeah, I mean, credit to New Hope for even thinking about it. I just think, I mean, it does seem like they're not going to go for it here very often. Ace Deuce made trips, by the way. 5 Deuce made trips. 6 Deuce made trips. You need them to have 5-7 or but
King 4,
Queen, King Jack, King Queen, or King Jack, arguably. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. This is a New Hope in the tank here. Feels bad about it. Does seem like surely King 10 would take a street out somewhere, check the turn, check the river, just call on the, you know, do they have King Queen? And maybe they're going to get away from it. This would be an incredible fold if they can lay this down.
The fact that they've thought this long, I'm more hopeful now.
Oh, calls all in and is eliminated. A New Hope 13 from Russia qualified for this 5K for $530. Earns $143,695 for their third place finish. As we go heads up, it is practically even Stevens. Tino Mulder versus Pabritz, both players former Scoop champions. Pabritz has 2 Scoop titles to his name. Tino Mulder won his first Scoop last year. And the aggression already starts.
Poker, high-stakes poker in a nutshell. Wish him good luck and then 3-bet him with 8-3 suited. That's the high roll away.
Okay. Well, these are 2 poker hands.
Ace King of Diamonds versus Queen Deuce of Diamonds. And it is an Ace Queen Jack flop. Top pair versus second pair. Another strawberry on the turn.
I guess we should be talking about how monotone this board is. There are 4 to a suit, and now there's 5. This is a completely monotone board. This hand will end in a chop at showdown. Should we get to I can't remember the last time I was this excited about pot chopping.
Really
terrific,
gets a
but
fold.
No showdown.
No chop. And instead, Mulder takes the slight advantage in this heads-up battle. Oh! Wow! Snowmen's.
Num.
Pabritz raises with the 8s. Tino Mulder with 9s. This is Domination Nation, ladies and gentlemen.
Snowman's about to get plowed.
Big sizing. This is enticing to shove. Keep things simple. Just pick up the 2.5 million. Quarter of your stack out there. Does.
And a call. 9 still ahead. 9 still ahead. 9s are good. It is over. Just like that. Tino Mulder defeats Pabritz heads up to win his second Spring Championship of Online Poker title. Tino Mulder cashing for nearly $250,000. Pablo Brito from Brazil, the runner-up, cashing for 188K. Another high roller in the books. Another big win for Tino Mulder. And I know we've had fun with it, Sam, but not to put too fine a point on it. What a run Mulder is on. Every single major online series we have covered in the last 12 months, we have seen this guy dominate and have big 6-figure results, if not 7-figure results.
Yeah, the guy's an absolute crusher. And we saw his skill on display. Relentless aggression, but also finesse post-flop, finding the points to put pressure on his opponents, finding the places to slow down as well. A real top player and a well-deserved title.
Yeah, and Joe, I have to say, this final table probably played a little bit slower than maybe I was expecting at the start. And suddenly it sped up towards the end. What did we have? 3 or 4 hands of heads up? I guess it took a good old-fashioned cooler to finish it. I thought that was going to go the distance between those two.
I mean, it easily could have, right? Like, it just so happened that they both ended up with hands that were, one of them was pipped, and they were just big enough to get it in pre-flop for the amount of stack size they had. Also, you know, you can never discount that these guys got a whole bunch more tournaments to play, right? Like, let's just wrap this up, figure out who's going to be the winner, and get on to the next one. I do have one question, though. This is the second Scoop title for Tino?
Yes, correct.
So we can call him 2-win Mulder.
I like it, and I will allow it. So tomorrow, guys, something a little bit different. We're going to cover a medium buy-in event with good reason, because it is a special edition of the Sunday Million. Normally a 109 buy-in. This is a $530 buy-in. So this effectively is the medium version of the event that we just showcased this evening. It plays down to the final table tonight, started on Sunday, obviously. It'll play down to a winner tomorrow, and we will stream every single hand of that 9-handed final table, cards up, tomorrow. $2.1 million in the prize pool. Our coverage starting tomorrow, Tuesday, April 13th, at the usual time. Looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fun one. Again, something a little bit different. Next week, for example, we're even going to showcase a low buy-in event. So make sure you'll join us tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed the stream today. For now, from Maria Ho, Sam Grafton, Joe Stapleton, and me, James Hartigan, it is good night from the PokerStars Arena.